Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council in regular session. It is Monday, March 3rd, 2025, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Parsons?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Councilor Cross?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Starr?
Here.
Councilor Christopher?
Here.
Councilor Duran?
Here.
Thank you. And our youth counselor will be here shortly. All right. Thank you very much. If you are able, I ask you to rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all, and welcome on this beautiful prelude to spring evening. It is lovely outside, so thank you for coming inside to join us. Tonight, it is our pleasure to issue a proclamation in recognition of the National Disability Awareness Month, and we will be combining with that National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So unless there's something from the staff, I would like to go straight to our representative from Shangri-La to talk to us about the National Disability Awareness Month. So if you come on down, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Urban. I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Shangri-La, which is a nonprofit human services organization supporting individuals with disabilities and families with disadvantages. We thank you so much for inviting Shangri-La to be part of tonight's meeting, especially as we enter Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. The next statement I say is not meant to minimize the experience of people with disabilities, but rather normalize it. Disability is common. Approximately 1 in 4 of us in this room, or 27% of us, are likely to experience some sort of disability. In general, disability is anything that limits, interferes with, or impairs our ability to participate in daily activities. Disabilities can be physical, mental, cognitive, intellectual, or developmental, meaning the onset happens before the age of 22. Disabilities can be permanent, they can be temporary, the majority of them are invisible, and as we age, our likelihood of experiencing a disability increases significantly. Shangri-La is proud to support over 700 individuals with disabilities throughout our service area of Marion, Polk, Yamhill, Lynn, Benton, and Lane counties. Many of these individuals we support specifically experience an intellectual or developmental disability. Some of these individuals are your neighbors who Shangri-La supports 24/7 in 5 residential homes throughout Kaiser. One of these individuals is Sandy, who is on the cover of the brochure that I gave you. She's seen there enjoying some time this summer at a splash pad at a local park. Another individual we support is Matt, who works at the Kaiser Station Lowe's and is a regular at Mommy and Maddie's. The support Shangri-La provides helps these individuals live enriched and self-directed lives as safely and as independently as possible. Speaking of Kaiser businesses, if you are a patron of Hops and Drops, Firehouse Subs, David's Bridal, or Walgreens here in Kaiser, you may have been helped by an individual in Shangri-La's Community Employment Services Program, which helps job seekers with disabilities explore their career interests, find and keep a job. 2 of these individuals are soon to celebrate 5 years of employment with their Kaiser-based employer. We are also proud to partner with local businesses like Subs with Love to help increase our community's disability literacy through our annual Yellow Napkin Project, a sample of which I have provided for you as well. In July, during Disability Pride Month, through the help of food service establishments, we will distribute 20,000 of these napkins featuring 5 disability literacy messages. As we all work to improve our disability literacy and allyship this month and ongoing, we offer these 3 reminders. Remember that even if a person with disabilities utilizes support from a direct support professional, interpreter, or companion, your primary interaction should be with the person with disabilities, not their support person. Then, if assistance is needed, their support person can help. Second, each person's experience with their disability is highly unique, and support needs vary greatly, even among those who share the same disability diagnosis. Always presume competence, seek understanding, and ask before helping. Sometimes the assumptions that we make about what is helpful can actually do more harm than good. And lastly, disability does not mean inability. Regardless of the significance or complexity of a person's disability, people with disabilities can express themselves, complete daily activities, participate in our communities, and make decisions. It just may look different from person to person or different than what we expect it to look like. Some people with disabilities need assistance to do these things, and others do not. If you want to learn more about how to create a more inclusive community for people with disabilities, we recommend the book Demystifying Disability by Emily Ladau, who is a disability rights activist and person who experiences a disability. Mayor Clark and councilors, we would like to give you a copy of this book to keep at City Hall and to share with anyone who might want to read it. Thank you again to the many places throughout Kaiser that are already inclusive and accessible to people with disabilities. We look forward to working with you to become even more so. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do now is read the proclamation and to present a copy to you to take back to your offices in celebration and thanks for the work that you at Shangri-La and so many of your partners across our region do to support, help, and include people with a variety of abilities in our community. So with that, I'd love to read this proclamation.
Thank you.
It reads as follows. Whereas in 1987, President Ronald Reagan first proclaimed March as National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, urging Americans to provide encouragement and opportunities needed for people with developmental disabilities, quote, to lead productive lives and achieve their full potential, unquote. And whereas in 1988, Congress established October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month to educate about disability employment issues and celebrate the significant and wide-ranging contributions of America's workers with disabilities. And whereas not all disabilities are physical or visible, and ongoing education and awareness improves our understanding for accessibility community-wide, including places of employment. And whereas inclusion and employment of persons with disabilities provides opportunities to achieve full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and independent living. And whereas the City of Kaiser is committed to support dignity and opportunities for people of all abilities to lead productive lives, which includes increasing access to good jobs. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Kaiser, together with the Kaiser City Council, assembled here in regular session, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as National Disabilities Awareness Month and the month of October 2025 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and call upon employers, schools, community organizations to work together to promote and expand opportunities, accessibilities, and employment of people with disabilities, and to urge our community to be welcoming and inclusive of people with disabilities. Employment Disability Month and Disability Awareness Month. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Shangri-La, everybody. be a wonderful addition to our library for people to enjoy and learn more. Thank you again so much. We will now go to our committee reports. And before we go to Southeast Kaiser, I wanted to give Mike DeBlasi from the Traffic Safety Bike Ped a chance to give his report, and then we'll invite up Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, staff. I'm here to present the Traffic Safety Committee, Bikeways and Pedestrian Committee update from our meeting on February 20th. It started off with quite a few members of the public who came to talk about some concerns that were not on our agenda. One of the things was the near Claggett School, the issue, and I would say that it's not an issue that's just for Claggett and Weddell, is that parents parking and parking in front of houses, blocking parking lots, driveways, mailboxes, etc. And then as a ancillary issue, people parking by Ben Miller Park off of Alder, and they are parking even overnight. There are some homeless people that are parking there overnight. There's no parking signs, but it just, with that way the road curves, it can be kind of not only is it taking away parking from the people who live there, but it's also makes it a little more difficult with cars coming around that corner. So we asked that the people who brought the Claggett issue to us to talk with the school and report back, see what the school could do with just controlling the parking, and we'll just keep an eye on it and see if that helps or if it needs to be another step. Another issue was on Park Meadow between Meadow Glen and Wheatland. They've submitted a traffic management plan, like with our new updated process, and there has been some speed study there. Officer Powell was just giving us a report on that. And again, that's another thing that we've asked, if they want to just keep an eye and see if a reader board or police presence will have any effect, positive effect on speeds through there. Then our planning director was there to present alongside the consultant from MIG, Andrew, the climate-friendly and equitable communities walkable design standards. It's a mouthful, but basically it's to create a more compact, pedestrian-friendly, mixed-use development patterns. So we heard the presentation from the consultant. We had a few questions, just about what the role is with this project, but also with the code and then the transportation system plan, and kind of how one kind of builds off the other and supports the other. Then more speed concerns, but this was about on Verta Lane. We've had another traffic management plan application. There's been quite a concern about speeding over there. Parents have come to the neighborhood association with concerns, but there's a crossing guard, but the crossing guard will leave at a certain time, and of course there's still kids and they're still speeding. So we listened to Officer Powell, and he talked about the speed study results. He said that it didn't meet the requirement for being over the 50% traffic speeds, and but it will be something that he can give more attention to by just being present there again. And we'll add it to the project list to tracking. And based off of that and some other speeding issues, we made a motion to that an engineer be hired to evaluate changing residential speeds to 20 miles an hour, and that passed. And so I think that will be something that you all will have to discuss. Another thing was, several months back, we talked about having a spreadsheet of green paint for bike lanes, and so I created the starter spreadsheet. And so it's available for the rest of the committee to review, comment, add. So we're still going to keep going with that. But we also passed a motion to create a proposed budget for painting 7 locations around Lock Haven and River Road. We had originally heard back a few months ago from Mike that a dollar figure, but we wanted a fresh dollar figure. And hopefully we'll get that budget, and then hopefully it could be brought to the budget committee to see if they could approve that amount of money. And then we talked about the pilot pedestrian flag program that we've talked about for a long time. Rob Witters from West Kaiser came, and they were proposing a certain area by on Chamala at 15th, but with some backs and forth with Officer Powell, Adam Brown. We wanted to see a slightly modified application, so he'll be coming back with something like that, hopefully at the next meeting. And then Hirsch has been working with Safe Routes to School and is looking for volunteers to help him. And let's see. Oh, and this is a big thing. While back, we'd brought up having a delay for when you press the walk button before the light turns, and that has been put in place. And so on River Road, pedestrians get that little extra time to walk across the street before the light turns. And that's pretty much it.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, that was a lot of material to cover. I do have one question. I'll go to your liaison, Council President Starr. On the Ben Miller Park and parking issue and so forth, and I'm going to, if I may, direct this to Mr. Lawyer. Is there a discussion about doing some marking around Ben Miller Park or some better delineation about where vehicles should be and keeping them from parking in the park?
Well, that's kind of difficult. There's no parking allowed on the Alders frontage because of the bike lane, bike path there. Excuse me. On the, I'm going to call it the BB side or the north side of the park. It's a real challenge. We'd like to have parking there in front of the park, next to the park for park users. So if we post it no parking, then that takes it away from the park users.
Right.
The other side of the street, there's driveways and stuff that really, I've been asked in the past to establish no parking zones there. But the way the driveways lay out, there's really not a lot of room to park without blocking a driveway. Didn't seem to make sense to make no parking in an area that really isn't good for parking anyway. All of that to be said, there are problems. There are issues with people picking up their kids. There's people, as I understand it, that park there as was stated overnight. I really don't know what a good solution to this is, honestly. Robert's talked to me about it. They've had concerns and problems getting into the park from the north side because people are parking there and blocking their access. They don't want to run all the way across the grass to get what they need to do. It's an ongoing issue. I really don't have a solution to it at this time.
So I'm going to follow up on that. Is that a conversation to be had with the neighborhood association that's about to come up here, do some brainstorming on some options that would work with the neighborhood and then work with you and the staff?
Yeah,
on
I'd
some
be
options?
happy to talk to them about it. Sure, see if they come up with some creative ideas that we haven't thought about. Absolutely, sure.
Thank you. Council President Starr, did you have anything you wanted to follow up on from the meeting?
No, I think just reinforcing what Officer Powell mentioned about the parking. They're not really considered parking because they're in the car and the car is running. And that is the challenge, I think, is what he was trying to communicate in coming up with a creative solution around that, right? Because if they're in the car and the car's running, they're not parked. And so I think that's the crux of the creative solutions that you will be discussing. Yeah, go
Thank you,
for it.
Madam Mayor. If
All
I may,
ears.
we had the same kind of situation, I will say, on Delight a few years back in front of Cummings School. And in that location, there are actually signs posted that say no stopping, standing parking. And it was determined through the police department, I don't know how much Chief Copeland is aware of this, but I know Chief Teague came back and said, that's really not enforceable. I don't know the details on why it's not enforceable, but that just adds to the complexity of how do you do something? So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Counselor Christopher?
So could you do something like 2-hour parking? Could you say 2-hour limit, and could you say no overnight parking? I mean, that's not gonna solve the whole problem, but it's gonna chip away at it.
That's an option. We can look at that. I've also thought about no parking from, I'm gonna say 2 to 3:30, and I'm making up time,
Yeah,
the school time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't park there during picking up your kids. But I'll talk with the neighborhood association, see if they come up with some creative ideas,
Okay.
so.
Yes, I know they're here, which is, the timing is wonderful. So I appreciate that. And there were 2 recommendations that were actually officially made from the committee. One is on looking at the residential speeds, and the other is on the green paint. On the residential speeds, if I may, I would like to direct this one to Mr. Witham. Would this be a larger conversation as we look at our transportation system plan?
Well, I'm not a traffic engineer, but generally, no. We don't necessarily look at establishing speeds through the TSP. It kind of looks at what's already there. I think that would be more of an engineering function. I know that well, Mr. Lawyer can probably speak to it better than I can. I know there were some changes at one point at the state level that does give cities the ability to look at those things that we didn't always have. I think the TSP could broach that subject somewhat if it came to the forefront, but generally the TSP doesn't really establish those speeds necessarily.
Thank you. So I guess the follow-up is, where would that recommendation land? Mr. Brown?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, we need to talk about it as a executive leadership team and figure out how to bring it back to you, and what we might do, study-wise or, consultation-wise, comparing with, see what other cities do, so.
Okay, great, thank you. And then on the green paint, Mr. Lawyer?
Well, we got a quote to do the green paint that was requested by the committee months ago. It was $29,000. At that time, I didn't feel there was available funds in the street fund at that time. I'm even more sure there's not funds available in this fiscal year. And I'm not done preparing the budget for next year, but I'm gonna say right now, I don't think it's gonna be next year unless I borrow some more money. Because in order to fund Verta Lane, I'm gonna have to make a short-term borrowing from the Transportation Improvement Fund to be able to fund that project. So at this point, I'm not done with it. I haven't finished finalizing it, but it's not looking real hopeful yet unless we borrow more money.
Thank you, appreciate an update on that. Anything further? All right, thank you so much for all your hard work, appreciate it. So speaking of committees, it is my pleasure to invite up the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association for your annual report.
Hello, my name's Don Davis. I'm the secretary of the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. First of all, I just kind of went down the list of the things that you'd asked us to present. First of all, we had held 7 official meetings, not including the National Night Out, an average attendance of 8. Some of the issues that we dealt with as an association was traffic and speeding. And after 2+ years of advocating for a solution for the speeding on Alder, on March of 2024, speeding signs were installed on Alder. And I live right there by the the crosswalk and everything, and I could say it's made a significant difference. And
Awesome.
we've had a lot of comments from neighbors that it's made a big difference. Graffiti, with our graffiti cleanup kits, I being one of them that takes them out. We have gone out throughout the neighborhood, areas where they've been hit significantly. We go out on a regular basis, and the nice thing is that as we go out and stuff like that, we're seeing more of the neighborhood, recognize what we're doing and that it's making a difference. So we've continued to do that. And then I've also reported issues of the graffiti reporting system, which I haven't heard back how that's going and would like to hear back how they're going to fix that issue. It's been a real problem trying to get things reported to go through. We had an issue with the Beaver Dam on Claggett Creek, next to, by Weddle. And so the complaint of stagnation and flooding due to the Beaver Dam. And so we worked with Fish and Wildlife in the school and to talk to the neighbors where it's really affecting them. And so that's in the process. And safety issues of the middle school. Once school is out, they had some issues with fighting and gang-related issues. We were able to bring that to the attention, which the police chief had already known about. He was able to report back to us the things that we can do and they're doing, which is greatly appreciated. Those are just some of the things that we worked on this year. Special association activities outside of the regular meetings. The National Night Out with the support of local businesses such as the Rec, Grass Hut, Helping Hands, and the appearance of Kaiser Fire and Police. It was a very successful National Night Out. We partnered with the Southeast Community Center that's located on Candlewood. They have a community dinner there almost every Friday. And we partnered with them for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners and have been in attendance to those on a regular basis. Participated in the December safety meeting hosted by the Kennedy Family Council and Kaiser Fest. Also participated in the State of the City and candidate forums and other such events. Number 4, report of all efforts to solicit participation and input on all members of the association. We have a Facebook group page with 270 followers that adds in Kaiser Times. I go out and put yard signs up 7 days before the next meeting. We have several of those we put out. I just got us in the Weddle monthly newsletter through Parent Square. That's about it.
Wow, yes. Well, thank you so much.
We're small in numbers, but hey, we do what we can.
Small but mighty. This is fantastic. Questions? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Davis, I just want to say for the record that I'm really proud of the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. When I was first asked to be a liaison for this committee, if there were 1 or 2 people there, it was a big group, and we've expanded that to where you said you have an average of 8. I see some great things happening. I'm just really proud of what you're doing. Just one other little question. How's your budget doing?
We still got some money in there, and I understand where we'll be providing the refreshments for the state of the city
Yeah.
meeting we have on the 13th. So, and we have some ideas of what we're spending the rest on, mainly for advertising and get the word out that we're holding these meetings, and trying to do more and more of that.
Just very proud of you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I had one follow-up question. I mentioned issues with the graffiti reporting system. Mr. Brown, is that something that is a website fix that's underway?
I'll have to look into that. I'm not aware of any issues right now with it, but, other than the challenge of addressing them, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Mr., yes.
I did receive a call back from, I think it was Ben Crosby, I think is who I talked to, and he was well aware of the issues. And the big thing is the map. It will not let you click on where the spot is, and it won't let you go any further until it's clicked on. That's the big issue. And then, I spent 15, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it would go through. Don't know what I did different, but it would go through. And as he mentioned, I report a lot, and so I don't want to spend most of my time trying to report it instead of cleaning it up. And that's been the big issue. And he said that they were in the works and that I should be receiving, this was about a week and a half ago,
Okay,
a report on how that's going.
all right. Perfect. They're on it.
I did have one other thing in regards to Ben Miller Park and everything. The side that you were talking about, on that side, there is no signs at all. So, and what happens is you have neighbors who don't have enough, or, they fill up their parking, so they'll park there, or we'll have homeless park there overnight. So one thing that I really advocated for, I was in attendance at the meeting, was the same sign that's in the park that says it's closed from dusk to dawn. If we could at least have that there, that should be, I would think, enforceable. If they're parking there overnight, I would think that would be enforceable. If not, I don't know why it wouldn't.
That is something I don't know, but that's a great conversation for you and the neighbors to have with our city staff, if that is something that would work with folks. So I understand that would apply to everybody, that the no overnight parking would mean all y'all. So, okay. Oh, it's gonna be a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to you all following up with our staff members on solutions.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you so much. Do we need to do a recognition?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, Council President Starr, would you put a motion on the table for the recognition of Southeast Kaiser?
I move the Kaiser City Council accept the report of the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association and extend recognition to the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association for an additional year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council accept the report of the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association and extend recognition to the Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association for an additional year. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that is all I have under committee reports this evening. Is there anybody I missed who is doing a committee report tonight? Okay, it doesn't look like there is. Perfect. That will take us then to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address this council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening, and that is on the OLCC application, a new license, retail, on-premises sales and consumption for a margarita factory. So stay tuned for that. What I do want to acknowledge for the record prior to a spoken comment is 3 public comments that have been submitted. One is from Diane L. Becker, resident of Kaiser, concerns / representation. from Chris Adams, resident of Kaiser, concerns regarding CDEC changing name. And that's going to be taken up by the committee, if I remember correctly. And then from Daniel Hayworth, opposition to extending Comcast franchise agreement. And so just want to clarify, there was one comment made about here that there was an idea that there was a one or the other. And Mr. Brown, as I understand it, these franchises are individual and one does not preclude the other. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. So those are entered in the record. We'll now go to comments, and I'd like to invite up Rhonda Rich.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Good evening, City Council and staff. My name is Rhonda Rich. I'm president of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And I had the privilege of being at your work session last week. And I just want to say, I appreciate all that you guys do. Looking forward to taking care of Kaiser and planning ahead. That's kind of what it's all about, what leads everything. And as an association too, that we do set goals and we try to align with what you are doing for our speakers and our topics. So we have some, timely information to share with our citizens. So I just have a few comments on the short-term goal, the emergency operations plan revision. And I talked to Manager Adams a little bit about this. I know it's kind of just a kind of look at it, I guess, maybe and rubber stamp it. I'm not quite sure what's involved with that. But I guess with the fires in California, it's kind of something that, brings to mind as our emergency operations plan. And getting, as a neighborhood association, getting that information to our residents as to what to expect maybe from the city, from the county, from the state, and what is our responsibility as citizens, as residents of Kaiser. So I hope that we can open up some communication there. I told Adam, whatever, I'd love to volunteer on if there's a committee, or I have a medical background. I'm not a doctor, but but I would love to volunteer, and I like to volunteer. So if there's anything that we can do to get more information out and coordinate with neighborhood associations, getting the information out to our residents. Because like the red flag warning that we had a couple years ago on the 4th of July, and we got a notice there's a red flag warning. We kind of got it out on an email, and we really don't know what it's about, what should be done, what people shouldn't do. So I think there needs to be some more education on that too. Because we do live in an area that it's not whether there's going to be some disaster, man-made or natural, whether it's going to happen. It is going to happen sometime in the future. So I just want to see our city prepared for whatever might come our way. And so I'm glad to see you working on that. I saw on the short-term plans for last year, the artificial turf project was on there, and it wasn't mentioned in the goal setting. So I don't know if that's something that, I know there's a phase 2 and 3 that needs to be completed with the turf fields. I just hope that that's a goal, because we write letters of support and whatnot to get the monies to complete that project would be nice. So, and then encouraging the sidewalk gap program, that'll be coming up. And I just hope our focus is around schools first. That might be a good place to start, because there's a lot of schools that don't have sidewalks. And the big toy, we're pretty excited. It needs it. It's really a safety issue with the holes in the mat there. So lastly, I want to say I'm glad that you start the meetings at 6 o'clock. It's nice to get out by 9. The only thing I miss, and I'd like to just kind of put it out there, is that it seems like we come up short at the end of getting staff reports.
Yeah, we do.
And from all the staff and from the city council. And definitely, I'd like to hear from Chief Day. All of you guys have something to offer, but, you know, for people who aren't, you know, like you, who probably know what's going on with the city, what's new and improved, or what's happening that week, I just hope it would be added maybe at the beginning of the meeting and instead of the end, because it is important. And March 13th, we do have State of the City, where we've invited Mayor Clark, I invite all of you. It'll start at 7 o'clock. And it is a joint neighborhood association meeting. So, and like Don said, Southeast Kaiser's offered to do the refreshments, so we'll see what we have there. But that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, there's a confusion I hear down here. The State of the City address is March 11th at noon, and
Right.
that will be the formal address. And a few years ago, we started having a brief State of the City and then Q&A conversation with the neighborhood associations
Right.
the same week. So that starts at 7 o'clock, is hosted by all of the neighborhood associations. And that's been just a wonderful time to have a more informal conversation, answer questions that people have, really hear from folks what's on their minds. And so thank you to all of the neighborhood associations for doing that again. You don't have to be a member of a neighborhood association. All you have to do is come on down and enjoy the conversation. And I think there's going to be cookies.
Yes, and each of the neighborhood associations has like 5 minutes to share what they want to share, and then we get into your presentation, and then we kind of go around the room, and it's kind of fun to see who all's there too, because a lot of people come out
Yeah.
just to call on you.
It's a good, we're all coming out of our caves
Yeah.
after the winter. Counselor Cross had a question or a comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Will that be on Zoom, the neighborhood association? One with the Q&As, because it is a little bit different than the lunch?
We're in the Iris room, but I don't think we're set up for doing that.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
And I love that you love 6 o'clock, because I do too. And I like what you were thinking about the staff updates, because I thought that last time our youth counselor didn't get to speak, so it was one thing that I wanted to address with Mayor Kathy, and you just reminded me to have, you know, even if we have a youth counselor and staff speak first, like, so thank you. Thanks for all that you do.
Thank you.
And I would absolutely agree. I was thinking about that as well and wanted to get the information out to the community. So during an agenda setting, we can have that conversation. I think there's something in our rules about it, so we'll have to probably do another update to change the order, because we did put the order in our council rules of procedure. So we can do that. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, there's more. Counselor
So-
Christopher.
Thanks so much, Rhonda, for coming. I loved the idea about the emergency operations plan. Like, we should have a RAC card that is FAQs. She's 100% right. When we do those updates, so when you do get a red flag warning, like, okay, what now? I couldn't agree more. And especially, I was in California this weekend seeing my grandkids. We had 2 earthquakes. And while we were there, I said, so, like, what do we do? She says, well, we don't do anything till it comes on TV and tells us it's something. And it didn't, and so we did nothing. But I think that would be a great idea to, after it's updated, you know, like, have an FAQ that we could get to the neighborhood associations, who could get them out to our folks and post it on our website. I thought it was a great idea. Thank you so much. Thank you for loving 6 p.m. Everybody does, except Counselor Kohler, who can't figure out how to get dinner. And thank you to Counselor Cross. She's the 3-hour girl. Here's what I would ask council to consider. We know that we can go from 6 until 9, but why don't we discipline ourselves to go from 6 until 8:45 and take that last 15 minutes and give it to the staff and see if there's anything that they want to talk to. And then if there's time left for us, great. But really what people care about is not us. They really care about, just as you said, Rhonda, and really, they love Public Works, but they really want to hear from the chief. I know, he's the star. So I would ask that we consider that, and instead of like running our business till 9, we run it till 8:45 and ask staff. Let's see. Oh, and thanks for the mayor thing. I'm like, 11, 14, what? Okay, thanks.
Welcome. All right,
Okay, thank you.
very good. All right, thank you very much. I don't have anybody else signed up for public comment tonight. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council under open public comment? Okay, then we will go on to our public hearing for the evening. And I'd like to open a public hearing. The OLCC application, new license, retail on-premises sales and consumption for a margarita factory. City manager?
Our city recorder, Ms. Bissett, has this item.
Thank you, Ms. Bissett.
All right, Mayor and City Councilors, the city received an application for a new license for a retail on-premises sales and consumption liquor license for the Margarita Factory LLC. It's located at 6045 Kaiser Station Boulevard, Northeast. As required by our Kaiser Code, Chapter 4, a public hearing was scheduled for tonight. Notice was published and mailed. The police department also conducted a background check on the applicant, and they have no reason to recommend denial of the application. In addition, the planning department finds that the location is properly zoned and has no additional comments on the application. Staff recommends that the council recommend approval of the license to the OLCC.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions from council on the staff reporter recommendation? Councilor Parsons?
I just want to know where that's at Kaiser Station. Is that the bricks? It is, thank you.
Yeah, the 6045 Kaiser Station Boulevard is in the report.
It's the old bricks, right?
Okay,
It is.
old new bricks.
Old new bricks?
Okay. Okay, so soon to be the Margarita Factory. Fantastic. Is there anybody here from the company that would like to address the council tonight? Okay, I don't have anybody signed up. Is there anyone who would like to address the council under this public hearing? Okay, nobody's rushing, going, yes, got to know more. Anything else the council needs before I close the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed. Council President Starr, would you please put a motion on the table?
I move the Kaiser City Council recommend approval of the application for a new license application for a retail on-premises sales and consumption liquor license for Margarita Factory, Kaiser, under the guidelines established by ORS 471.175 and the ordinances of the City of Kaiser.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council recommend approval of the application for a new license application for an retail on-premises sales and consumption liquor license for Margarita Factory Kaiser under the guidelines established by ORS 471.175 and the ordinances of the City of Kaiser. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. That concludes the public hearings for this evening. We will now go to administrative action and item 8A, which is approving renewal of the cable franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon or is that a 1, Inc. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Your city attorney has the next two items, item A and B, both franchise agreement.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This first item is the cable TV franchise renewal of Comcast. Ahead of this, the city went ahead and did a press release and asked for potential comments. I believe that's why we have one that was accepted. And that person did seem to think that it had to be one or the other, and this is a non-exclusive franchise. So other franchisees can come and provide this service. And in fact, in the gentleman's comments, he touted Ziply, and we in fact have a Ziply franchise. So the reason we're here is because this is a 5-year franchise, and it has the possibility of being extended for another 5 years. And it just so happens that under federal law, the Cable Act, if you come within 3 years of a renewal period for a franchise agreement for cable, then they have the right, the company has the right to ask to go ahead and renew. And so what got triggered was we came within, this started in March 1st of 2022. And so they sent that letter out and said, hey, we would like to renew. That also triggers a right for them. We're supposed to act within 6 months. And if we aren't going to renew, then we have to come up with quickly basically a hearing to say why we aren't doing it. So we don't have any complaints to speak of with the city. And we don't want this relationship to change at all. We don't want any of the terms of the pretty fresh franchise agreement to have to change. So we are just simply asking that we'll renew. It'll be the same rates. It won't increase anybody's rates or anything like that. And so we're just asking that we basically let them have their extension because they asked for it under federal law. And we just want to be not only good stewards of our right-of-way and make sure and have these franchise agreements, but we want to make sure and follow the laws as we do that. So if you have any other questions for me, I'd be happy to ask or answer.
Thank you very much. Are there
Yeah.
any questions of Mr. Lindsay? Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lindsay, can you clarify the name of what the agreement is? Is it Comcast One?
It is, that we looked into this because there's a Comcast 1 and a Comcast 2 for Oregon. So pretty big company, but I guess they're subsidiaries. And sometimes people have signed as an executive from Comcast 2 for Comcast 1. And so we did check on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know you already said it, but I want to say it again. It will not affect any of the bills for the residents. That's right. Okay,
The franchise rate will not go up. And so the
Okay.
bill for that will not go up.
thank you.
Right. But on the other hand, it does not preclude how they price their servicing. The only thing that we charge is the franchise fee, and that rate is not changing.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to make sure if you get a different package and you go, well, they said it wasn't going to go up, that's them. So we want to make sure we're really clear on that. Anything else? Council President Starr, would you please put a motion on the table?
I move that Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R2025, approving renewal of the cable television franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon One, Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2025, approving renewal of the cable television franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon One, Inc. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Let's go to item 8B, which is an ordinance establishing a franchise agreement with Salem Electric for placement of utilities in the public rights-of-way, repeal of ordinance number 2012-668. City Manager, it goes to Mr. Lindsay.
It does, but I will preclude that by telling you that he has put a lot of work into these franchise agreements and renewing them in a lot of time, and he's done an excellent job with them. So with that, I'll pass it to my colleague.
Okay.
across the aisle.
I would agree, and thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lindsay.
Thank you, Manager Brown, and thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We have Tony Shasher, is that how, is it Harday?
Checker.
Oh, okay, sorry. Is here from Salem Electric as well. If you had any questions for him, this will look very familiar because at our last meeting, we had almost an identical franchise agreement with PGE. So this is our other electric cooperative, but electricity provider, utility provider in town. And so we necessarily have to have a level playing field. And so these agreements are very close with the exception that there's a few different rules in there because they're cooperatives. But other than that, some of the changes that we made were just to definitions, to some emergency repair conditions, and then some vegetation management, because those were all, I think, ideas that needed a little bit of flexibility and a little bit more meat to them. And then otherwise, we likewise have a very good working relationship with this company. And so they're really, from our frontline folks, don't really have anything to report in terms of like what we would need to do differently. So we want to keep a good thing going and keep a good relationship with one of our city partners here. So I would ask that you pass this ordinance so that we can have this franchise.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions? And I'd like to invite up Tony Schecker, if you would like to say a few words and talk about our wonderful co-op of Salem Electric. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. We're on, right?
Yes, we are.
Nothing formal to say, really just to say thank you. I concur with Manager Brown that Joe has been a great colleague, great person to bounce ideas off. We worked with him and our council and kind of hammered out a couple of these other things. Also have a pretty good relationship with PGE, so I worked with Wendy Vlies a few times on some of the language that they had changed, and the vegetation management, as you're all aware, the LA wildfires really kind of opened people's eyes that an urban conflagration can happen. So we wanted to make sure that that vegetation management piece is really strong. It is part of our Oregon PUC requirements for safety, but we felt that it was adequate to put it into our franchise agreement as well, so allow for proper vegetation management and right-of-way clearance. So really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to hopefully having a new franchise for the next 10 years. So with that, I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you. I would also try to answer ahead of time Councilor Cross's question, or really Vice President Councilor Cross's question, which is rates will not go up. This is a status quo for the way in which we do our rates. So they shouldn't go up on the bills of folks.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
The caveat that Mayor Clark added.
Exactly.
For Comcast goes as well.
Well, and I really appreciate the attention to the vegetation. So during the ice storm in 2021, vegetation did a tremendous amount of damage as it came crashing down across power lines. A couple blocks away from my home where there are overhead, my neighborhood does not, but just a couple blocks away, there are overhead lines, and it took a lot of work to get that cleaned up and deal with the destruction from that. So the extra attention would seem to be very warranted. This winter's been pretty mild, though, on the whole, has it not?
So far, so good, yeah.
That is a good point.
We're almost through it.
My daffodils are feeling really very optimistic. They're already open, so can't take them back. No backsies on my daffodils. But thank you very much for all the work that you all are doing and the partnership with PGE to provide great service to the people of Kaiser. Appreciate that.
Thank you, it's our privilege.
All right, anything else? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tony, as we talked about earlier tonight, I can't say enough about the work that y'all do with here in Kaiser, with supporting different organizations and things that you do. We would be a different community without your support and all the things that you do. But thank you very much.
Thank you, we appreciate that. We work hard to be members of the community because, quite frankly, the community owns us, so it makes it easy.
All right, anything further? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Council President Starr, would you please put a motion on the table?
I move the Kaiser City Council adopt ordinance 2025, establishing a franchise agreement with Salem Electric for placement of utilities in the public rights of way and repeal of ordinance number 2012-668.
Second.
Come back here. It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance establishing a franchise agreement with Salem Electric for placement of utilities in the public rights of way, repeal of ordinance number 2012-668. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. All right. And again, big thanks to Mr. Lindsay for working through all of these very complex franchise agreements and all the regulations that each of our utilities has to deal with on a federal and state level. Thank you. Let's go to item 8C, which is the discussion, Community Diversity Engagement Committee membership, terms, officers, and meeting requirements. City Manager?
This item actually also was Mr. Lindsay. So, and I also wanted to say thank you. I was sick last week, and so a lot of my colleagues around the table here picked up some of these things for me, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a situation that you've seen a couple of different times come forward, and this is unusual in that it's still a discussion. It's not necessarily up for vote. And so the changes to, and the resolution for the changes to the rules around the CDEC are not in this packet because this was going to be, instead of just proposing what the rule changes should be, there are other potential discussions that need to happen, and I believe there are even interactions that might happen at the CDEC coming up that may impact the way in which you guys want to change the underlying Appendix A to the CDEC. So instead, we left this as a discussion item. If you guys do want to indeed discuss how you think the membership could go, this originally came about because of all of we were trying to bring all of our other committees into alignment with having non-voting liaisons. And then this one, the question was, should it be more like the VCC and have individual counselors appointing individual members onto this board? And then should those terms more closely align with the election so that terms end when the election ends and not in 3 years, and so everybody gets a shot at appointing their person whenever they get on. So that was kind of the impetus for this, and really you can have that discussion, and you could even, either order me to come back with that. We have that resolution in that Appendix A, but because there's these other facets that might still be in play, we didn't want to bring you something, pass it with a resolution, and then come back and amend it if you were going to change little other aspects of it, like the name and such. Do you see that's? Yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor and Council, there's also, I think, the outstanding issue of the youth liaison to it. Right now, it's a voting member appointed by the mayor, and that is her appointment to the committee. So I think one of the issues is, should the mayor have a adult appointee, and then what would the council appoint the youth liaison as a whole, or how that should happen, or go through the VCC?
Well done. Thank you for that reminder.
Okay, so council, did you want to take each of these items that Mr. Lindsay listed one by one and talk about what your preferences are on each of these issues? And then we can either direct to come back with that in resolution language at a future meeting, or refer it to the CDEC for any or all of those items. So just going down the list, the start was, so I heard 4 different things, right, Mr. Lindsay? 4 different decision points?
Adding City Manager Brown's, yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I counted to 4. So the first, actually, let's do the, what I'm hoping is the easy one, and that's changing the 2 voting city council members to 1 non-voting liaison. Is there any discussion on that, or doing it differently than that? Is that something that we want to see come back in the resolution?
Yes.
Okay, by consensus, then it's fair to say that City Council would direct that we change the 2 voting members to 1 non-voting representative of the City Council. Okay, check that box. Number 2 is to change it from where the CDEC membership is appointed, and then once they're appointed, they're in a 3-year term, and that upon conclusion of that 3-year term, the counselor in that position makes that appointment, to change it to being consistent with the appointments to the Volunteer Coordinating Committee, where it is the appointee specifically of each counselor. So it changes it from being essentially an independent voice. Once you're appointed, you're on the committee, to linked to a city councillor. They are partly, because once they are appointed, they're in a 3-year term. So they're not representing that city councillor. Once they're appointed, they're in a 3-year term. Upon the end of that 3-year term, whoever's ever in that position makes that appointment. When we started this way back when, I think, well, in my mind, it was eventually going to go over to the volunteer coordinating committee to make these appointments. However, as was discussed at the, at our work session on the rules, that was not the direction that came from a majority of council, as I understood it. Well, and I understand the volunteer coordinating committee had opinions on that, members of that committee did as well. My representative had no problem with it. Other people's representatives did, as I understand it. I'm not speaking for you or for your people.
Majority of VCC did not want it.
So the majority of VCC stated as such, is that correct? Okay, want to make sure we're clear on that. So by changing this, that means that the representatives would then represent the city councilors rather than being, you know, appointed to a term of office that would be renewable after the 3 years. Okay? That is what you all want. And I'm not going to be able to say, it's going to have to be a motion because I do not support that. So I'm a no. So we can either do this as a,
I can make a motion.
want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, I move that we change the CDEC rules to match the volunteer coordinating committees. And on that resolution, we appoint for this term. The 2-year term. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. Okay.
Second.
I was about to say motion dies for lack of a second, which would have been a real shocker. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Parsons?
I think the only concern for me was this person is already in my seat and will expire at the end of this year. And I don't know this person, you know, and coming new on, I don't even know this committee, so I'm learning, right? I'm learning and I haven't even met with my person, so I was waiting for her to come to me, but I guess I'm gonna have to go to her. So that's why, the only reason why I would vote yes for this is because I want to be able to appoint a person.
Okay. Councilor Christopher?
And the only other thing that, I'm going to vote in favor of this, but the only thing that gives me pause is when you said they are representing the city councilor. Well, in as much as, once we appoint a VCC member, I mean, they appoint the person that they feel has the qualifications and that best fits that need. So that was the only thing that gave me pause is, I mean, do they? I don't know that they represent the city councilor, but the councilor has the ability to appoint someone to there on a 2-year term, which I hope that has a lot of churn, because I think that would be good and bring even more community members in. That's all I wanted to say.
So that begs a question in my mind. They'll go to Councilor Cross. Once appointed, as I understand with volunteer coordinating, we can make a change during the biennium. So in this condition, it would be the same thing. So if at some point you or the appointee disagreed, the counselor would have the ability to replace that person. Is that correct, Mr. Lindsay?
Yes.
So
There's also at any time, if 2/3 of you vote, the person can be removed too.
well, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's true for all of our committees.
I was going to say, has that ever happened? No.
No, not that I remember, but in this case, because with the volunteer coordinating, I was aware that we had that ability to, to remove a person, our own appointee. That will then change this committee as well, because right now, once the appointment is made, they're in a 3-year term. And I think have the opportunity to be independent and not worry about representing the views or being compatible with a particular city council's point of view, councilor's point of view, but are more, have the ability to operate more independently, and it would take 2/3 of the council to remove them, similar to our other committees and commissions, which again, as just got pointed out, doesn't happen. So that is my concern, is that this would change the tenor of the CDEC to be more, have to be more closely aligned with the counselors who appoint them. And I don't think that's a helpful situation. Counselor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to just piggyback on what Counselor Christopher said. When I appointed Leslie,
Thank you.
is it broken?
No, now it's on.
Oh, yeah. No. When I appointed Leslie Reiswick to be my volunteer coordinating committee, I don't have discussions with her. She has free will. She has thought. I respect her thoughts. So I absolutely get what Lori Christopher is saying. So I am highly in support of this, and my opinion is that, yes, we're naming them to a committee, but we want them to have their own thoughts.
Thank you. Further discussion? Counselor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm confused with the 3-year and the 2-year thing. So if somebody had been appointed to the committee a year ago, do they automatically have a 3-year term, and then the new person doesn't have an opportunity to appoint anyone until that, or are we changing that now? So that was I just want to make sure that I understand it properly.
That is correct. So under the current rules under which people have been appointed, they're appointed for a 3-year term, and they're staggered, so you don't get high turnover, because continuity on all of our committees has been important, that we don't have a lot of change. We can get some consistency year over year. So with all of our committees, except for volunteer coordinating, they have these rolling 3-year terms. But this change would then make it where every 2 years, the entire committee could change or not, depending on who's on city council and who gets appointed. So at this point, somebody coming in, that would then align like the volunteer coordinating committee. It would no longer be more like our other committees, like art, planning, budget, et cetera, where they are appointed and serve a designated term. Does that help?
So my understanding then is that if we approve this particular part of this, then they would have basically a 2-year term that would coincide with the counselor's term.
That-
The biennium.
The biennium. Yeah, it would be the 2-year biennium.
Thank you.
That's correct. Did I have that correct, Mr. Lindsay?
Yeah, and I guess one of the questions I have, just for clarification, if you don't mind, is, because we just had one, right? And because certain counselors have not had the opportunity yet to put their person in place, is the idea that we're unwinding all of it, or just the positions that came on recently? Or, because we have a couple of different positions, right? We have the Hussman position, which is sort of midterm, and then we have the folks who were just reelected. Those folks, I assume then it would reset all of those positions? Correct. So that those folks would be expected, once we pass this, to technically, even if they have a person they like, re-up that person.
Would it just, my follow-up to that, would it be just those, or would it be all?
All.
If you want all, I can write it that way.
Do you want me to amend my motion then?
Please, if that's what the will of the council is. So that it would be a reset.
That was the will of my motion for friendly amendment. If Counselor Kohler accepts it, is that we have this resolution and we restart and we're all set together.
Okay. So that'll be in the resolution. And then, Madam Mayor, I don't know if you guys wanted to discuss because you're discussing sort of individually VCC rules and the 2-year terms, but there's that idea of there's only 6 adults and 1.
Press pause on that one.
Oh,
If we
okay.
could do that separately,
Oh, okay.
please. That's a separate issue.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you. Anything further on this motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. No. Motion passes 6-1, the no being Clark. The next thing, thank you, Mr. Lindsay, is on the youth member. The youth member has been a voting member, and this was very intentional when this committee was formed, that the youth, in adding that diversity of age in the conversation, would have a voice, a voting voice at the table. And I was really, really blessed to be introduced to Nevaeh Music, who served the full 3-year term that she was appointed to and was a very active participant. And I would very much strongly favor keeping that as a voting position. But to Mr. Lindsay's question, whether the mayor's position would appoint an adult member, I would recommend, based on my experience, that the youth member be appointed through the volunteer coordinating committee process, just like our youth counselor and other youth liaisons to our other committees. Yes, they do. All of them. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation if folks would be okay with that. I'm going to go to Councilor Cross and then Council President Starr.
If we are mimicking what we do on the other committees to keep it consistent, then I would say that youth liaison would not be a voting member.
Thank you. Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I do think for this one, I like the youth having a vote. Also, I just want to clarify, because I think we ran into a little bit of a conundrum with the youth term, because I think Nevaeh left for school in September, right? And these were, so I think we would need to, I'm looking at Mr. Lindsay, we would need to adjust that. Yes, no, if the youth is graduating, or, I'm just looking for guidance on that.
Well, I think they have to step down if they cannot come to meetings, I guess. Is that the question?
And then it would just be reappointed by,
If
in the middle of a term, so
Yeah.
to speak, if the youth is leaving for school. Okay, great.
And right now, it says the youth member who is under 19 years of age at the date of appointment. So it isn't necessarily even, it doesn't have to be under 18, it's under 19 at the time of appointment.
Got it, thank you.
I would like to suggest a compromise and have the youth member appointed for a 2-year term. Right now, all of our youth counselor and our youth liaisons are appointed to 1-year terms, which is something we might want to revisit because recruitment is an ongoing challenge. But in this case, because of the complexity of the work, I would recommend that we recruit for a 2-year term for this position. Does anybody disagree? I'm going to go to Councilor Christopher and then Councilor Duran.
I don't necessarily disagree, but you just said everybody else is 1 year.
On the youth liaisons.
I mean, maybe we should appoint 1 year and then revisit the whole thing and see if we want to do everybody 2 years. I think consistency is a really good thing. Mayor, I'm fine with it being 2 years, but that would be the only one. And so, and all those committees are, this is a heavy lift for all those students. So I think that we should, tonight, stay consistent with the 1 year, but then revisit the whole thing and say, do we want to say 2 years for all the student positions? That's what I would say. But I have a question. We've got three things to vote on, right? Appointment by VCC, that's one, right, for the student. And
Well,
then-
this is this would
That's
be a
that's
package.
A. Okay, so then B would be, are they voting or non-voting? And then C would be the term of office, am I right?
Correct.
Okay, all right, okay.
And I would push back a little bit, then I'll go to Councilor Duran. I'd like to try this out as a 2-year and see if it works. And this would be an experiment.
Oh, well, then let's do it as a pilot project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it in as 2 years. again, this is complex work. There's a commitment on the part of the student. They're a voting member. There's an even higher level of commitment. And I think that we could find out through this, how it's going to work with our other committees if a 2-year term is more successful for their involvement.
So could we write that in, that it is a pilot project, and then we would, if it works, then we could revisit that for all the student appointees?
Perhaps not put it into this resolution, but to ping this when we come back and do our, resolution, our, committee review.
Okay.
Let's evaluate.
Great. All right, I'll go with you.
Counselor Duran?
Now can I talk?
I think so. Thank you for your patience.
So my only concern is a 2-year term would kind of preclude a senior to not being added in.
They can, no, they actually can if they are under 19 when they
Right,
apply.
but if,
Yeah,
right, okay. But they won't get to serve 2 years if they're 18 when they're appointed. So that's my only thought is
Yeah.
when the VCC looks at this and they go, oh, this person can be here for 2 years, this person can only be here for 1 year. Well, so that it just kind of, it makes it conflicting to me. So that's my big concern on that. And I would say a 1-year term with somehow written in so that they can serve multiple terms. It's, what if they're a sophomore? They could serve 3 years if we said they could. There's no reason they couldn't if we made it that they can serve consecutive terms. If we get somebody in that's really good for a couple years, then unless we have, we can always have more people.
Able to accommodate.
Right.
It's really
So
the issue.
I just hate to limit things, so if we can make it as open as possible for people.
I appreciate that. I also know how challenging it's been to recruit the students. So I'm going to push back on that one a little bit. Counselor Cross?
Okay, thank you. Great point, Counselor Duran, because there are a lot of seniors that turn 18 at the beginning of the year or in the summer beforehand. And I agree with, again, also with the 1 year, because it does give us the opportunity for maybe that youth to get involved with another committee and have different perspectives on different committees. And 2, get different views and thoughts in there. That's what we're trying to do, is meet people where they're at. So I would be in favor of 1 year.
So it sounds like there are 3 different issues, I think, around the, do we have consensus on voting? Voting, being a voting member? Do we have any opposition? We do. Okay, we have opposition there, so we'll have to vote on that.
And the youth being a voting, no, I want the youth to be a
I know I do, but we don't have consensus, so we're gonna have to do it as a motion.
Okay.
And we do not have consensus on the term. And do we have consensus that it will be appointed by VCC?
Yes.
Anybody disagree?
Okay, we got one.
Got one. All right. So let's, motion to, for the youth member of the CDEC to be a voting member. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Moved by, Council President Starr, seconded by Councilor Parsons. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilor, Christopher?
I will be voting no, and the reason I'll be voting no is consistency. We don't allow that or have that in any of the other student liaison positions, so that's why I would say no, let's keep that consistent. The end.
Councilor Cross?
I agree with Counselor Christopher, and that's why I will be voting no.
Any further discussion? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that Counselor Duran makes a really good point, and I think that the 1 year probably is the best way to go on that.
Okay, but this is on voting or non-voting?
This is voting, non-voting.
You're behind the 8 ball. Or ahead, you're ahead of the 8 ball.
I'll catch up sometime.
And I would, just to,
I think for consistency, we need to keep it the way it is with non-voting.
so it currently is voting. just for the record. And I'm very strongly in favor of the student being voting. Consistency is helpful when you're looking at systems, but in this case, this is a different type of committee where the commitment is important and also the voice. We're looking for a wide variety of voices to have power at the table, and I think it's important that the student knows that they've got power in this conversation, that they have just as much power as the adults making recommendations to City Council and to the community on how we are going to continue to grow the variety of voices that are speaking into our committee processes. So I think having a vote is an important affirmation of that. That's why we did it in the first place, and I support that initial decision to do so. So I will be a yes. Councillor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I guess my little bit of pushback on that will be the consistency. And I believe, listening to all the committee meetings that Mr. Brown knows I do, I think and I feel really good about the fact that all our youth are heard. And it doesn't feel very the same if one youth is allowed to vote and another isn't. And I think that all the committees they are on, their youth, that so thankful for, are challenging in their own ways.
Okay. Anything further? Councillor Parsons?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I mentor a lot of these juniors and seniors, and this kind of thing empowers them. And by voting, by being a voting member, it empowers them to think, okay, I am representing a part of my community, and I'm here to represent along with these adults. And so I'm going to vote yes also.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor signify by, you know what? The motion is for the youth member to be voting member of the CDEC. And it's going to be non-unanimous. Ms. Bissett, would you please read roll call?
Counselor Parsons?
Am I supposed to vote?
Yes.
Oh, I'm vote yes.
Counselor Kohler?
No.
Counselor Cross?
No.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Council President Starr?
Yes.
Counselor Christopher?
No.
Counselor Duran?
No.
Motion fails 4-3. Okay, or 3-4, ayes before noes.
So I can put a motion on the table for it to be non-voting?
If that's decided.
That was it.
So it was not voted, so there will be a non-voting member. The last is on the term of office, whether it's 1 year or 2. And put a motion on the table for the youth liaison position. Right now it's a 3-year term, to change it to a 2-year term. Entertain a motion?
Yes, I move that the youth liaison be a 2-year term.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Parsons, seconded by Council President Starr for the youth member to be a 2-year term. Discussion?
No, but have her call roll.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Parsons?
Yes?
Counselor Kohler?
No.
Counselor Cross?
No.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Council President Starr?
Yes.
Counselor Christopher?
How many do we have? 2 and 3? 2 and 3. I was gonna say I'll go with the majority, but
Make a decision.
God, I no.
Counselor Duran?
No.
Motion fails. So that, I think, makes it by default to
1 year.
a 1-year term.
Okay,
That's renewable.
yeah. Okay,
They can apply for reappointment as long as they are under the age of 19.
great, okay.
I'm making sure Mr. Lindsay has that written down. Okay? All right, that is the issues on the youth member. Terms, youth member, what was the next thing?
Maybe this is implicit in what we've said, but are we having a 7th member for you to vote for?
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Because we only did the VCC in the term.
Well, it kind of depended on this, so, so the mayor's position should, in my opinion, have the same appointment rights as the rest of the council on this, since we're making it like VCC for consistency.
Yeah, I agree.
That it be the same.
That was a little sarcastic. Come on now, you're getting along so well today.
I don't know, I just want to throw that out there.
Mayor, do you want a motion?
Is it by consensus? Anybody disagree that the mayor's position should Oh, come on.
Play nice in the sandbox.
All right. Had to flick a little. Did anybody disagree that the mayor's position should appoint a member similar to just like the rest of the councilors? Anybody disagree? By consensus, there will be 8 members, well, I guess 7. There will be 7 members. And, because the youth member will be a non-voting liaison appointed by the VCC. Okay? Did we miss anything? I think there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, anything else?
Again.
Counselor Christopher.
Thank you. Again, for consistency, under the other appendixes, on this one, there's a purpose, and then there's criteria. And in membership, same thing. There are qualifiers under, I gotta find it. Where was it?
Good catch.
Where was it, Sarita? It was under membership, was it? Yes, it is. So there's, that's not in any other Appendix A in any other committee. It's only on this committee. So I would say that the membership paragraph I would change that to be consistent. I would make a motion that the membership paragraph is consistent with the other membership paragraphs for the other committees, and that in the purpose, items 1, 2, and 3 are moved down into tasks. I think that's where they're more appropriate, is in the tasks and not in the purpose statement.
So you're looking at the Appendix A. First looking at the membership paragraph. And change that language to be similar to all the other ones where it just refers to the council rules of procedure.
Correct.
Relative to the,
there wouldn't be any.
well, section, yeah, it wouldn't be any qualifiers, because it'd be under section 18, I think it's 18.2. If I remember correctly, I have to get mine back out. But I think that's where it's located in there, where we talk about the, how the VCC is appointed and that language was added. Correct?
Well, and I would even point out that the VCC, for your convenience, their Appendix A is on page 96 of your packet.
Oh.
So you can see how they are set up. They have a purpose, they don't have tasks. And then their membership is limited to kind of the who, not the mental portion of it or whatever, if that's what you were getting at, Counselor Christopher.
Yeah,
Just flip the task and purpose then.
I think the task should be down in the task.
But this one doesn't have tasks.
Oh, so you're, okay.
So first of all, we're clear on the membership. Anybody disagree? I mean, since we're moving forward with that, while I want to state for the record, I do not agree. Since the motion has been made and passed, I will go along with this consensus to carry out the will of the council, to make that consistent. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Under, to go to the other part of this, looking at the purpose. So you're saying that items 1, 2, and 3?
I think they should be dropped.
Dropped into the tasks?
Correct.
And then what I would like to do, if it's all right with council, is ask the CDEC to evaluate the description of the tasks
Great.
and come back with any recommended changes.
Can I have a point of clarification?
Yes.
So the CDC, they don't even have a task, they just have purpose?
You mean the
So-
VCC?
Or the VCC, so would the preference be to call it tasks anyway? Or just call it purpose?
The whole thing under purpose? Yeah, let's go ahead.
But none of the other committees have these long task lists.
Well, this
Do
one,
they all have purposes?
this is a unique
Okay.
committee.
Okay, how about this?
So if they
Let's
come
ask for a
back,
recommendation.
that's what we just said. Let's send
And
it
let's
to
ask
them.
for a recommendation under, yeah,
Yes, what we just said, but we want, let's go ahead and we can either move everything under purpose, send it to CDEC, ask them to come back with a recommendation on any that they would like to either amend, delete, because they've already got it done, and bring it back to us.
Their recommendation,
their recommendations.
like planning did. I like that.
Stand by, Counselor Cross.
Thank you. So just to clarify, with this resolution, we've said some people are getting appointees and there are no tasks on any other committee.
Correct.
Why not just get rid of the paragraph? We're going to take it to CDC and we don't even have the members that'll be working on it pretty soon?
So I understand I think I understand your question. I think what, I'm hearing though is since others don't have delineated tasks, and mind you, when we put this together, They do, traffic safety bike ped, and it's under purpose. So take out the word tasks, list all this under purpose, 1 through 9. And ask the CDEC to come back with any recommendations for revisions. Counselor Cross?
So Mr. Lindsay will what? Write the resolution and we'll have it at the next meeting? Or we're gonna have to wait, discuss, and then be 2 meetings away if we do it that way?
It may be longer than that, depending on, what the timeline for the CDEC.
Okay, well, I would say that the things that we went through, that I'd like to see them done, because if we push it out that far, we're down 2
I
more
agree.
meetings.
I absolutely agree with you. I think for right now, that the recommendation would be to in the resolution that comes back, the revisions that we're discussing right now on Appendix A would be to A, remove the term tasks and list all 9 under purpose, knowing that there's going to be, this could be subject to amendment, later on, and to make the change to the membership section with all the other, items that we've agreed on tonight, and that would be the resolution we'll see in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yes.
Would that work?
Yes.
I'll gladly bring that back.
Okay. Any points of clarification that you want to make sure are included? Mr. Lindsay, do you have any questions from you?
No, thank you. You guys have done a nice job of actually double extra clarifying, so I think I've got decent notes.
Okay. All right. Let's then go to item D, which I understand is on naming and City Manager, I think this goes to Counselor Cross, is that true?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, Councilor Cross requested that a recommendation of names be forwarded to the CDEC, and it was endorsed by Councilor Christopher and Councilor Kohler. And if you would like, I can read those off, or I can defer to Councilor Cross.
Counselor Cross?
I can, if you can read them off, that'd be great.
Okay.
I just wanted to, the research that I've been doing and working with Ray White is that we're intentional with language. And as DEI practitioners, they're not married to current terminology. Goal is to create a culture of belonging for every person regardless of race, gender, or disability. So broadening DEI to include more than race and gender helps bring more potential allies to the conversation. And that's how I feel, that we need to be intentional with the language, create a vision, and unify. That's why I don't like the word divide, because it means to divide. So I came up with some names, and with that work session that went really well when we had it with the CDEC committee and the council, I heard from chair and co-chair that, hey, we've just been going over these definitions. Why don't you bring stuff to us and have us discuss it and make it recommendations? So I came up with a list, and maybe if we pick out 2 or 3 and we take them to CDEC, or put them all, but there you go. So actually, I just found my email so I can say no.
Okay.
So one of them is Kaiser Community Outreach Committee, Kaiser Culture of Kindness Committee, Kaiser Community Outreach Ambassadors, Kaiser Outreach Alliance, Kaiser Neighbors Connection Committee, and Kaiser Community Connection Committee. So basically a combo of all those words. So again, getting this committee involved and having them make those recommendations. So meeting in the middle. That's what I came up with. So that is what I would like to see be done. So we do have a meeting on Thursday.
Yes, there is a meeting on Thursday. Stand by, Counselor Christopher. So, what I'm hearing is your recommendation is that list be sent for a conversation starter with CDEC?
No,
Or did you
not
want us
even-
to actually?
No, not even a
adopt it?
conversation starter, like, here's 6 names, and if somebody else here on the dais, another city councilor wants to add one there, and then, hey, here you go, please pick your 2 or 3 favorites, or pick one.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Can we get a copy of the,
He said I couldn't, he as in you, Adam.
I know, it's the Oregon Government Ethics
Yeah,
Commission.
I
You can't
couldn't-
actually communicate.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
So yeah, I'd like a copy. Go ahead, Counselor
So
Christopher.
when Counselor Cross asked me about this, so this is a council committee. We, the council, name all of our committees.
Thank you.
We have the authority to name this committee. But what we wanted to do was to ask for a recommendation from the members of the CDEC on what their opinions are and make a recommendation to the council. We can choose their recommendation, we can choose whatever we want, because we have the authority. It is a council committee, and they are a citizen advisory committee. And when Counselor Cross called about this, I said, you know, the word diversity has been weaponized. And it has become divisive rather than inclusive. And so I think that that's something that we should consider. One of the folks that wrote in said, you know, don't be afraid. And we're not afraid. We're not afraid of that word. But the feedback that I personally have been given was, I don't want to be engaged in, I don't want to be engaged in something that is divisive. And I don't either. I want everybody at the table. I want inclusivity, not exclusivity. I think the word has changed, and I think it's changed not for the better, for the worse. And so if there's another title that would better suit that committee, then I think we should consider it. But I don't want to consider it without the input of the CDEC members. But I want you to know, we're not afraid. We're neighbors helping neighbors. We're volunteers just like you're a volunteer. And we want all of our community to participate in their community, because it's all our community. And so what is the best way to look open and welcoming? And I think that word right now, today, puts up roadblocks.
Thank you. Council President Starr?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You're thinking?
I'm writing and thinking.
Yeah. So where I'm stuck is, I appreciate your creativity on some, ideas. Where I'm getting stuck is that we would send a few for their consideration. I would really like to, hear recommendations back and not limit the options for what comes back. So personally, and then be able to have that conversation, because outreach to me is one way. Where's the inreach? It's gotta be both ways. So I'm having trouble with that. I like.
To limit this.
That's what I just heard. So I heard limitation, I heard not. So I'm leaning on here's some ideas, but I'm leaning toward the not.
She didn't pitch it that way to me. She said, here's some ideas. Let's see what else they got.
And that's not what I just heard. Can you
What
help me
I-
out?
yeah.
And then I'll go to Counselor Kohler.
Well, what I heard again from CDEC is they want some direction. If we just say pick a name, that can go on for months. We're still working on definitions, with all due respect, Madam Mayor. So yes, but it is my intention yes, it's my intention that. Pick one of these names. Or, I mean, we could do it however we want, but I just want to get something done if we're doing it. So we can discuss it again on the next committee and go with that, but, yeah, bring it to them, get it done, and hopefully it aligns with any new appointees. So we're starting fresh, grab the name belonging or inclusivity. But so I guess what I would say, yes, let's take it. My feeling is we take it back to the CDEC, meet in the middle, but get rid of the word diversity.
And not use these names?
Oh, yeah, you can give them to him and just say we came up with them, but not have the word diversity in the committee name.
Okay, and they could make a different recommendation
Mhm.
Is your microphone on?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I just want to be clear, they can make a different recommend, they are not limited to this. Okay, great.
Okay, that
Then I'm back.
helps.
Then I'm back.
That's
But my motion, when it's time to do that, will be to not have the word diversity in the name.
Okay.
Counselor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My understanding, when we discussed this, just briefly to get this on the agenda, was that we were going to suggest some names and that the committee can come up with some other names if they want, but we discussed that the term diversity is very divisive right now. And some of the people that I have talked to about being on the committee have said they didn't want that. And as I look at it more and I understand that a lot better, yeah, give them some opportunities, we'll give them some suggestions. If they come back with something different, that's okay, we don't have to accept that, but because it's our responsibility to name the committee. But yeah, give them whatever recommendations they'd like.
Okay, any other questions of Counselor Cross? Counselor Cross, did you have a motion you want to put on the table?
Well,
Or what's your preference here?
my preference is that we take it to them and that we discuss it again on the next city council meeting. So, that it's put on the agenda. Maybe not so we can hear, like, maybe have CDEC come, tell us how they feel, what their recommendations are on the next city council meeting, and then we go from there.
So because they meet on March 6th.
So, my motion is that we take this name change, well, we'll both be there, Mayor Kathy, about new name, let them think about it, get back to us, recommendation. Kyle.
She's in the process of making a motion. So did you want to stop?
I'll stop.
Counselor Duran?
I would just say, we ask them to make their recommendation this meeting, so we can see it before, I mean, so it,
In 2 weeks.
yeah, so we, I'd hate to see it on Monday in 2 weeks, and then all of us be kicking it back and forth for a half an hour. If we could see it ahead of time, after their meeting, then we could have a little bit of time to think about it ourselves.
Would that be able to go into the packet, Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor and Councils, it would be part of the meeting record, so it would be public as far as.
But I mean, it would, timeliness wise, it would make it for the next meeting.
Yes.
It would
you
get into the
yes.
packet.
Yep.
Yeah, the committee meets for people who are watching, the committee meets on March 6th. The packet, would not go out until, March, 12th.
Wednesday.
Yeah, the next Wednesday. Sorry, I was trying to do calendar math in my head. So it would be issued on March 12th. So yes, there is a timeliness that would allow for that.
Do I have to make the whole motion over?
Yes. But did you want Ms. Bissett to read back what you had so far?
Yeah, what's the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Bissett, if you would do so, please.
Okay.
Give it a try.
Counselor Cross moved to take the name change and list to the next CDEC meeting, and then ask them to make the recommendation at that meeting and have it come back to the next city council meeting.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the recommendation to the CDEC with this list. Do you have something,
Well, I just
question?
clarify.
Okay. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to clarify that, like, they're gonna get this list of names, but they can also, if they've been thinking of their own or they've been having, because I think I heard them say, sorry. I think I heard you say at your last testimony that you were already working on this or the committee was planning to work on it. having the conversation, okay, so that they could, so if they're gonna have that conversation, they can bring other recommendations back. Okay, thank you.
And it's the only guideline, this list, because in the motion did not include, other things I heard you discuss.
Yeah. I just wanted my opinion out there, but the motion did not include. They can think of any name they want, bring it back to us. I
Any?
just want it on the next council agenda for discussion.
So I've heard any, including keeping the one they have.
Correct.
That could be their recommendation, yes.
Okay. So we're not limiting the language that they're using in their recommendation back to us.
No, I think that we, well, both of us as the liaisons right now, we can say what was discussed and go from there.
Okay. All right, I want to be clear on that because that, my vote on this hinges on that. I want to be absolutely clear that we are not limiting the language, that we, yes, there was, people have some preferences, on the, language used in the name of the committee and their work. I have a different view on that, and I want to make sure that, what we're recommending to take to discussion with the CDEC does not have limitations. But, they can bring back their recommendations based on their best judgment. Okay? Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. As a point of, order, because I'm not sure we're gonna get to, other business and so forth, for the next meeting, I will not be, in town, so I'm gonna need the ability to Zoom in or to participate electronically, for the CDEC meeting on the 6th. So, Counselor Cross, you and I can take that up with the chair and, make sure I can do that. Okay? All right, thank you very much. The next three, items under, administrative action are considerations for proclamations. Hang on just a sec. I didn't copy this down, so I want to make sure I get the language right. Okay. So under our council rules of procedure, the idea on proclamations was to bring each request to the, city council. When we did the rules change, though, I'm not sure that we all knew that they were all have to come as, agenda items, but they will. So that's why there are three of those on here. Under section 14, it says that, upon receipt of a request for proclamation and all three of these, the city recorder will notify the council of the request. And then if the council approves the request, we'll prepare the proclamation for signature. So the approval is, or not, is the action that you will take tonight, and then we will decide if and when these will be issued. And I'll go to, I think this goes to Mr. Brown, Ms. Bissett? Who's got the short straw here? Okay, Ms. Bissett.
Mayor and city councilors, a request for proclamation recognizing Vietnamese American Remembrance Day was received. Vietnamese American Remembrance Day is on April 30th. The request is from Thao Duc Tu, President of the Vietnamese Community of Oregon and Vice President of the Federation of Vietnamese American Communities of the USA. The council rules of procedure outline the process for proclamation requests and readings. Council rules of procedures section 14.2 states that no more than one proclamation will be read at each meeting. It will be at the discretion of council if a proclamation will be read at a city council meeting or presented to the organization or group. If the council approves this proclamation request tonight, I'll prepare the proclamation for the mayor's signature. There are currently proclamations scheduled for both the April meetings, and staff is recommending tonight that the council discuss this proclamation request and make a motion to approve or deny the request.
Thank you very much. Any
Madam Mayor,
questions? Mr. Lindsay?
can I clarify too? So if you were to want to have a second reading at a meeting, you would have to suspend your rules. But also, you don't necessarily, nothing says that you have to have it at a meeting in order to allow for the proclamation, and just have it sent by US mail or hand delivered or however you want it. So those are some of your options legally.
Thank you. Any input from council? Councilor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think what we decided with time and going through and having one proclamation at each meeting, that I like what Mr. Lindsay said regarding setting up a time to go to those different facilities and letting them know what our council rules are. So that's what I would be in favor of.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I look at the Vietnamese American Remembrance Day, and I think that if we, well, let me just ask, how much staff time does it take to put one of these proclamations together?
Well, Madam Mayor, Council, the mayor has traditionally wrote these, so not a lot of staff time goes into it. Also, you know, while I have the floor, the other two, you know, maybe should be talking about these all together, the Global Love Day and Military Child Month, as they all have to do with the next item, which is adopting those recognition of national observances, so.
Okay. I'm gonna follow up on that, and I'll go to Council President Starr. Traditionally, when I've gotten a request that, when I would approve them or not, if I approved, going forward with it, I would take whatever was provided, edit it to be Kaiser-centric and relevant, and then, it would be issued at the next council meeting or at the appropriate council meeting. So traditionally, it's been my time. Ms. Bissett has been invaluable in making this a lot easier and, sending me drafts that are really easy to, add some tweaks or final edits if necessary at all. So I really have appreciated her, but yeah, there is staff time involved as well as, my time up until now. If somebody else would like to write it or edit it, since these are council, that of course could happen. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine's just another clarifying question. So on the Vietnamese American Remembrance Day document that's included in our packet, it says, I send you this proclamation and I hope that you will approve this. But there's no proclamation included in the packet that I'm looking at on the portal.
You're right.
So I don't know how to vote on something that I'm not able to see. But I feel like we might have maybe some time. When is it?
April 30th.
So we could bring it back to the next meeting if we wanted to consider having the proclamation and just doing what Mr. Lindsay suggested, which is sending it to them and not having a ceremonial proclamation at the council meeting, correct, time-wise? Thank you.
Okay, so, anybody disagree with, tabling this one for, March 17th? So we get the full, text. Everybody good with that? By consensus, we're gonna table this to March 17th, and then we'll get the full text of the proclamation. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go to item 8F, which is consider proclamation request Global Love Day on May 1st, 2025. Ms. Bissett?
Mayor and City Councilors, a request for proclamation to recognize Global Love Day was received from Harold W. Becker, President and founder of Love Foundation Global Love Day, which is on May 1st, 2025. Council rules of procedure outline the process for the proclamation readings as we discussed. The council approves this proclamation request tonight. I'll prepare the proclamation for the mayor's signature. City council meetings in May, we currently have proclamations scheduled. And staff recommends that you discuss this recommendation or proclamation request tonight.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments from council? Councilor Parsons?
I guess I just have one thing to say. We set our calendar already for the year for proclamations. So my thing is, if we continue to get these in, maybe we should reply to them and say, we're unable to accommodate you this year, get it in sooner next year, or just send it to them or something like that. I think this will save us a lot of discussion and a lot of, we should do this one and then not do this one, do that, and then we're doing it all over again. There you go.
Councilor Christopher?
I don't think we can do that because we changed the council rules to say we'd approve whether or not we're going to move forward with a proclamation. But we have a preset calendar, so we've already done that. I didn't like that, and I don't like that because I like these proclamations to be as requested, where we would decide when they come in like this, that's when we would decide whether or not we were going to read one at city council. But that's not what we're doing. So we already have prescribed, but we can say, we can agree with having a proclamation written, and like we said, either the mayor can present it at the organization or it can be mailed to them. And a lot of these folks are just collecting proclamations. It doesn't necessarily have to be read at a city council meeting. It's just whether or not we're in agreement of moving forward on the content of the proclamation. So I think right, am I correct, Mayor? You just want to know, yes, are we going to do a proclamation? And then secondarily, it's either we're going to mail it to them or you're going to deliver it to them because it's not coming to city council because that calendar is set.
Only partly.
Okay.
There's one more consideration. We have resolution 2003-1391, which is the relevancy one, which is why in the past you have not seen these because I have declined to issue them. And that is because we have chosen, and chose many years ago, to make sure that the proclamations and other actions of positions we take are relevant to Kaiser. We could be issuing proclamations for a number of things all over the world, but because of that resolution, there was a decision made to focus as much as possible on what is relevant and germane to Kaiser. Hence, in our rules, it talks about local organizations or residents. This is not, this is from Orlando, Florida. Requesting proclamation, this is not local. So based on that in the past, I would have said, I appreciate the outreach, and I get, there's a lot of these that come in every year. I would have declined based on that. Resolution 2003-1391. Councilor Duran?
So can we, I don't know if we have to put it back into our council rules and procedures, or we can just make a thing.
This is up to you
But I
guys.
mean, I say we give staff a little bit of a heads up and say, if they don't meet these criteria, don't even bring them to us. If they do, let the mayor decide whether she wants to do it, send it out, or go, if it's something really important to her or the council, go out and visit them at their own meeting or something. But I don't think bringing 3 of these a month to us that we're gonna say no on is a way to go, because our calendar's full, and we're not gonna change that, in my opinion.
Well, the rules currently don't give the decision-making to the council, even up and down of even issuing a proclamation. Councilor Cross?
I agree. Well, I mean, I guess it would be nice, do we still need to vote on the proclamations?
That's
Or we-
why you set it up.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not on not on each of these, I'm talking about our annual schedule, because there was a few months.
It's item H.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we're getting to that.
all right. Well, I agree with Kyle.
So we're gonna, what I would ask then is 2 things. One, I need a consensus on whether or not you want to proceed with this. And then number 2, when we get down to item I, can we talk about this a little bit? on maybe modifying the rules of procedure around this to make it more streamlined. Because right now, we're going to be spending a lot of time on this because the mayor's office gets a lot of these requests every year. And it's a council decision. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if I could make a procedural suggestion. So we have already agreed to table item E. If we simply ask if anyone's willing to put a motion on the table for item F, and nobody puts a motion on the table, it's a moot point, right?
Correct.
So we should probably just ask that question, and the same with item G.
Okay? Anybody want to put a motion on the table for item F? Hearing none, we will not be issuing this proclamation as requested. Item G, Ms. Bissett.
Mayor and City Council, a request was made to recognize Month of the Military Child and Purple Up Day. The request is from Barrett Gren and Lorraine Moore, and Purple Up Day is on April 15th, and April is Month of the Military Child. So at this time, we do have, as mentioned before, some proclamations scheduled for the April meeting. And at this time, staff recommends that the council discuss this proclamation request.
Thank you very much. Any questions or commentary from council on this request? Okay, is there anybody who would like to put a motion on the table to issue this proclamation? Hearing none, there is no action taken by the city council to advance this proclamation for enactment. Let's then go, thank you very much, Ms. Bissett, for preparing these. Let's go to item 8H, which is a resolution recognizing national observances and commemorative heritage months, repeal of resolutions R 2021-3215, R 2022-3324, and R 2022-3343. City Manager?
Madam Mayor and Council, Mr. Wood has this item.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you,
City
Mr.
Council, during the February 10th, 2025 work session, the council requested that staff bring back an updated list of national observances for consideration at the next regular city council session. That list has been prepared, and you can see that on page 131 of the packet. And with that, I will turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll ask for questions and comments. I would like one edit, and that is the Youth Council proclamation. That is something that I chose to do as a way of acknowledging our youth counselor. Rather than having it be in our annual list, I would ask that we give the council leeway on how we would like to recognize our youth counselor and not, formalize it that it necessarily be a proclamation. That was simply a methodology that I chose to use to recognize the counselor, but we can use a number of methods. So with that, I would ask that that be removed to give us that leeway. But the rest of the, and ask if you have anything else on the other items in the list. Did we miss anything, or did you have any other edits? Councilor Parsons.
Yeah, so I'm looking over them again and again. I don't remember this one, but in the city of Kaiser, we recognize volunteers 12 months out of the year. So I would like, if we decide we want to do the Vietnamese American one, I would put it in place of the volunteer proclamation, because we are volunteers for 12 months out of the year, not just April.
Okay.
We get cookies.
Well, and that goes with the proclamation. The volunteer coordinating committee members go to the committees with that proclamation and the cookies as part of the celebration, mostly in April, but sometimes other months, depending on when those committees meet. So when we get into the motion, we can each recommend the changes and see if council wants to do that. Councilor Cross.
So this list, just so I understand it, City of Kaiser, these national, you want these to be recognized, but not necessarily here at City Hall?
That's not the list. You're on the old resolution.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, keep going. Page 131
okay.
of the packet.
See, that's where I start there.
There you go.
And these are this is what we already decided on at CDEC.
These are the ones recommended by CDEC and then that we worked on as well. And,
Did it always say reader board on it? Or
Yes.
does it say reader board?
Yes.
I'm not, that's a question. Did it always say reader board? Okay.
they do get put on, I don't know if it said it, but they have been put on the
No,
reader board.
this one says acknowledgement
Okay.
on the city's reader board.
Yeah,
I didn't see any red lines or whatnot. Thank you.
okay. I don't know if it was on the old ones. The reader board is a relatively new thing. It hasn't
That's
been
why I
there long.
asked.
Yeah. So definitely want it out there. And then putting it, saying that we're going to issue the proclamation does not necessarily mean we're going to be presenting it at city council. It simply means that these are proclamations that are going to be issued and we don't have to ask about them. How we do the presentation is something that, CDEC or council, can decide which ones are going to be in person in council, which ones are going to be sent or presented elsewhere, depending on the desire of maybe the organization or like, for example, where is it? Where's Small Business Saturday?
We didn't want to take it out. You took it out. You were going to go to the chamber, remember?
But it's still on the list.
Because it wasn't on our list.
Because we took it out.
So we're not going to do
Take
it?
it to the chamber. She was gonna
But,
take it to.
okay, but,
I thought these were the ones that we're doing
Yes.
at city council.
Yes, 100%.
so where's the list of ones just be issued? Because right now it says, be resolved that the national observances and commemorative heritage months are recognized by the city of Kaiser. That doesn't talk about presentation, it's simply the recognition, and that one's missing. So just because it's being recognized doesn't mean it's necessarily gonna be presented here. So
Bring this back.
we're gonna have to, so we've got some changes we need to make. So I'm confused.
If
Mr.
the
Brown.
council would prefer for the resolution to say which ones will be read at allowed at a council meeting, and then have a separate section of those that will be proclamations but will be taken to organizations?
No. I would prefer that we not get that deeply in the weeds in the resolution. In the other resolutions, all we said is what are the ones we are going to recognize each year? How we do it each year, we can change.
Okay.
And take the months off. Well, unless they're on the previous ones, but, I think it's important that we can decide year to year. Maybe 2 years from now, we want to do 3-in-1 meeting. I don't know that we want to tie the future. But let's list the ones that we've agreed on, including the ones that may not be listed here. Councilor Cross.
Yes, I think this needs more work. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, isn't there a way on here to put approved list, an annual approved list by the council?
Yeah. Just that.
Yes.
And because.
And remove each individual name.
What?
Like, if we were putting, if this will be all convoluted, but if we're approving an annual approved list, just like we did with the proclamations, can't the resolution say that, so we're not bringing back a resolution every year?
No, this would be ongoing. This would say, this is the,
Right,
this
but
is the
I'm
approved
saying
list.
like, take off the names of them. If we're approving a list every year of what
Okay.
proclamations are being read here.
So this is the list of annual observances and proclamations, and that we recognize them. How we do it is not being delineated here. It's not saying we are going to have time in every council meeting. That is up to us. But to have an, oh,
Madam Mayor.
At city council meeting.
that's not what I understood, because what
That's how
I
I
understood
understood
was that we were going to list the ones that we are just gonna recognize each year. And otherwise, like Small Business Saturday, I will come back, put that onto the, agenda. Are we gonna do that or not? Or some of the other ones that we do every year?
We said no.
You said no.
So we're not doing that anymore?
No.
So no proclamation?
You're doing it at
How do I get permission for the proclamation?
I think,
Where?
wait, can I say something? I think
I'm
we're a little
confused.
confused. I know, and I understand what you're saying. We talked about this, and we said we would be fine if you went to the chamber and gave the proclamation to them at the chamber. She said, yes, so it should still be on this list because we're doing the proclamation, but we're not doing it at city council. So we need to word it, right, to where it does that, so we're not all confused and have these arguments every time we sit up here.
We're not arguing.
Well,
I'm
sorry,
not arguing.
healthy discussion.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, you're fine.
No frustration or argument here.
Well, Mr. Brown,
Thanks, Madam Mayor and Council. I think I understand what Council Cross is getting at, that the resolution simply state that you will make a list each year, and then that list can be approved, but it doesn't have to be written in the resolution. It just says council will adopt one. And then also then I think maybe we could do some rewording to allow these other ones to be addressed, but not have to be done in council meeting. But like, did I pick up what you were laying down?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Brown. Yes, whatever verbiage that Mr. Lindsay comes up with, and it can say, can be revised with approval of council. Put your loophole in there.
And may I ask a point of?
That's how I
I'm
understood
so
it.
confused.
I understood it that it was
Lindsay?
going to be our list.
So.
Yeah, I did too.
The last time, you guys met, there was two, times, and the mayor mentioned the first one, the youth counselor proclamation, where that is, you don't want that one on there
No.
anymore. So I'll make
It
sure
shouldn't
that.
have been on there.
But then there was a dispute last time that was not, addressed entirely, was the month of September, and whether or not Constitution Week, I think, was the one that was sort of up in the air. I'm just going by my memory right now. But whether or not you want Constitution Week to be on the list that is going to be read or presented at a meeting, or do you guys want two lists?
Yes.
One for the meetings and then one that are approved proclamations, but they can go either in the mail or go to organizations? Okay.
Can we make it simpler? Can we just say these are approved proclamations? What we do with it each year is up to us. We can schedule it.
Yes, we don't want to talk about it again.
So forever and ever.
Well, for a year.
For a year, but that's what I'm talking about. If we have the list and then at the beginning of the year, we and CDEC can decide which ones are going to be scheduled for the year and be done with it. But if we take off the ones that we've been doing and not include them on the list, then I've got to come back and say, I'd like to do this one. I've got the request because I know these requests are coming and they're going to be back on the agenda. So the ones that we said, yes, we could issue them and send them out, can we just have a list of proclamations? We've set the calendar for this year, 2026, we'll do it again on the calendar, but we'll already have the list of that we're working from. And we could change it if, the calendar if we want to. But the list will already be there, so we don't have to revisit it. I think that would be simpler. I don't think we need to put the months into a resolution. Just the list of proclamations. So,
Question on this.
yeah, yes.
There's three on here. We still only have one a meeting for September, correct?
What?
There's 3 Septembers listed.
Yeah.
And that's from the list of ones that are being read?
At the
Here at
last meeting,
office?
yes, at the
Here at
last
the
meeting,
city
it was still unclear which
Right.
We're still
two
debating
would
that.
be read.
I still am in favor of having one a month and removing Constitution Week, just so it's out there.
And then, is it the council's preference, sorry to repeat myself, the question, then if Constitution Week doesn't get entirely removed, it just gets moved to the not read out loud, but it could be sent to the organization asking for it? Okay.
I like one list and then we adopt a calendar for the year.
See, that's the same thing. I'll move
It's not the same. It's not, in my opinion, it's not the same. We have a list And then we adopt a calendar, which we have done. We've already set the calendar, but if we could have the list that is updated, then we can change, then 2026, the council will set a calendar. 27, they'll set a calendar. But we don't have to keep revisiting, because if you leave something off this list, then we got to come back with it, and we'll have another conversation. So I've just, one list to rule them all. Counselor Christopher?
I'd like to make a motion that we ask staff to bring this back with two lists. The first list will be the one that we've already decided on, with the months listed on when those are going to be read at city council meeting. And then the second list will be others that have been approved but will not be read at a city council meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we direct staff to come back with a list of proclamations, one list for those who will be read in a council meeting, and the other list to be those that have been approved to be issued but not presented at council meeting.
Correct.
Further discussion, I wanted, again, to reiterate the list that we have here. Please delete the one for youth council proclamation, and we will do our recognition, non-proclamation-ish. Ed, do you accept that change?
I do. And I'd like one more.
Council President Starr?
Yes, I accept that.
Counselor Cross?
I would like to move Indigenous Peoples' Day to the non-presented at city council list.
Not accepted.
Oh.
Okay? It's Columbus Day.
Ooh,
It is
no, it's Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Understood, but in November, we will have the entire month that is also recognition of that.
Different.
The proposal has not been accepted by the second. Do you want to put a motion on the table to, as a separate motion? Counselor Christopher?
Yeah.
Let's make the motion.
I would move that we move Indigenous Peoples' Day to
She's, as a for amendment.
approved, as an approved recognition to be sent out, but not at a city council meeting. And see if there's a second.
Motion dies for lack of second.
Okay.
Counselor Cross?
After all that. I just wanted to, for anyone that didn't pay attention to the last, this list of the one proclamation meeting a month was put together by the last month's CDEC committee. So that list, what
Yes.
we're talking about, was
Yes.
brought to us with Constitution Week not being there. So it was
Oh, it
discussed at the
wasn't?
last meeting.
Oh. Okay.
Because September was decided to be National Suicide Prevention Month, which we did not read last year, and we all felt strongly about it at that meeting, and National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Okay, great.
And then it was asked to go to the council by Tammy to see if there could be three.
In September.
In September, yeah.
And for the record, we've not, well, there have been requests by local organizations for National Suicide Prevention Month and other recognitions that we have done in the past on, upon request. But the Constitution Week, we have received that request every year since I was elected. I don't know about before that. Ms. Bissett, are there any other changes?
Call the vote.
Ms. Bissett, would you help us, remind me how the, motion reads at this time? Sorry.
Counselor Christopher moved that staff bring back two lists, one that has already been, I missed that first sentence. And the second one would be the ones that have been approved to be issued, but not to be presented at the council meeting. And then to remove, there was a friendly amendment to remove the youth counselor proclamation.
Right.
Okay, that's
No, we
right.
do that.
Good job.
I believe the missing language in the first one was ones that have already been approved to be presented at the council meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no.
No. Nope.
Motion passes 5-2. The noes are Parsons and Clark.
Pardon me?
No.
Oh, and Kohler.
Reno's.
I'm sorry, didn't hear. Sorry. So we have motion passes 4, and then who are the noes? Hands? 3, the noes are Clark, Kohler, and Parsons.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
It's 8:25
Thank you.
and,
Is your thing on?
yes, my thing is on.
Counselor Christopher?
Thank you, Mayor. It's 8:25, and there's two, what I think will end up being lengthy issues left, which is I, the council rules and procedure, and K, I don't know this to be true, but I think there's a potential there for some discussion. But I think we could definitely do J and I. So I'm asking if we could reorder and knock off J and I, and then we'll see what time it is and take on either
May,
Wait a minute.
J and K, L. I'm sorry, it's an L.
I was about to say.
Sorry about that. So knock those off and then come back to either I or K. And then, hopefully that'll be 8:45 and maybe we could try our new plan to let staff talk. What do you think?
So you want to skip I and push off the changes to the rules of procedure, another
And
meeting?
she said the,
I and K.
the personnel policies.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know it was huge.
Well, it was a lot of reading, that's
It was
true.
a lot of reading. I mean, it might
So-
be fine, I don't know, but I think there's a potential there for that sucking up time, and it's now 8:28. So could we go to J and L, and then
Well-
see where we are?
So for the moment, any disagreement with skipping I and going to J and see, and we'll just take this down the list. No objection to, we'll
good.
table I guess to March, 17th. Again. Let's go to item J, which is a resolution authorizing city manager to enter into personal services agreement with Civics Plus for website software and services. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Mr. Wood has this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. One of the long-term goals for the previous session was do a website upgrade. We are pleased to come back with a proposal at this point. We had a joint committee of multi-department group that got together, reviewed several websites. Their recommendation is to move forward with Civic Plus. It will be a significant upgrade to our existing website. I think you kind of get what you pay for sometimes when dealing with websites. With that, I'd be free to address any questions that you may have. There was some examples of websites that this company has put together that I hope you've had an opportunity to take a peek at. This is also the same software provider that does our agenda management, codification, so that all of those items will seamlessly integrate into our new website if we decide to go move forward with this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Questions? I'm gonna go Council President Starr and then Councilor Cross.
Thank you. I have a couple. Mr. Wood, just confirming, that's a pretty significant dollar figure for the initial setup investment, but we have that budgeted, correct?
That is correct, yes.
For that will cover the full amount. And I just want to make sure that we're like ironclad that they can't start adding stuff on during the implementation and the cost just goes up and up and up.
Yes, you are correct.
It's ironclad.
It is ironclad.
It will not be a penny more than $24,641.35.
Correct.
Not one penny more. Right, okay, good. Second question is, that annual 3% increase, starting at year 5, is it, capped at 3% annual increase per year after that, or are we signing a new agreement every year?
That part I don't know the answer to.
Can you find that really quick? Because I don't want to necessarily agree to a 3% on year 5, and then there's the language is silent that it could go up to a 15% on year 6.
So, Madam Council President, it's a 5-year contract, so we could
Right.
actually end at that time.
So we would renegotiate a new contract on year 5?
We could, or do the renewal, either way.
Do the renewal, but I think my question though is that on year 5, I recognize it's a 3-year annual increase, but on year 6, is it capped at 3% every year? Or could they on year 6 decide to say, surprise, we're gonna raise your annual rate by 15%?
It would have to be negotiated because they're
Okay,
under,
perfect.
they're not under contract at that point. It's
Perfect.
kind of like, yeah, will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as I'm looking at it, thank you for bringing that up under recitals, item 2, and, Mr. Lindsay, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The effective date and duration, that it says that this agreement shall become effective upon the date of execution, shall expire unless otherwise terminated or extended 1 year from the date of execution, except that term shall automatically renew in 1-year increments unless terminated in accordance with this agreement. So that puts the power, on the part of the city to, actively decide to either extend or terminate. Is that correct, Mr. Lindsay?
That is correct.
Thank you. Counselor, Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This question is for Tim. So we're going from an annual cost of 2,000 to 10,000, but it looks like this has all the bells and whistles. Are we budgeted? Or do you have an idea how where that extra $8,000 is going to come from?
It's not a 10,000 annual though.
Is it?
No.
Recurring cost is 10,000 for the first 4 year.
Right. So it's not 10,000 per
Right.
year, it's 10,000 for the first 4 years, and then on year 5.
Is that right? Tim?
I believe it's 10,000 per
10,000 per
year.
year.
It's 10,000 per year, because the annual fee for the current fee is 2,000. See?
Okay,
So-
good catch.
So
Sorry.
where's the $8,000 coming from?
Sure. Well, the 10,000 will be spread over all of the funds of
didn't
the
read
city since they'll all have the benefit of that.
And then
But it is going to have to go through the budgeting process.
And you know this question is coming. Did we get any bids from local Salem, Kaiser, Willamette Valley? So we can keep that money here. Because for your example websites, we have Arizona, California, Texas, and City of Clearwater. So out of all the geniuses in Willamette Valley and all the people that do websites, did we contact or meet with anyone?
Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor and Council, the GovTech and FinTech worlds are kind of niche markets. I mean,
But
a lot of people can do
so-
websites.
But you didn't say Portland, or you didn't say any
Well,
of those?
they have Oregon clients here. But I think your question of, did we contact
Yeah, did we
website builders
contact-
here?
And I understand they're different,
is-
but I mean, it feels a lot better to me when we're going from $2,000 a year to $10,000 a year that we're doing our due diligence.
Yeah.
That's quite the extra fee. I mean, I'm looking at Chief Copeland right there and I'm like, that's a lot of extra overtime hours. So just, it is our fiduciary responsibility.
That's for Manhattan.
So that's why I will be voting now until we are doing our due diligence with local.
So thank you very much on that. With putting this out for bid and so forth, and I see you, Counselor Christopher, that, because you were explaining that the work on municipal is a niche market. Do you want to finish your comment on that?
Yeah, it's unique. I don't know if there's much more to say about it. I can tell you, I've been working with this company. I've been looking at proposals from this company for over 20 years. And our deputy city recorder negotiated this and got a screaming deal. I've not ever seen a proposal from this company for under $20,000. And so when she said, she came back with, I think the first number was like 11.5, she said, but I think I can get them down further. And she came back and said, I got them to 10. I was like, wow, that's amazing. There's other, the fact that it integrates with our code system is something that's quantifiable.
Yeah.
And with our agenda management system, they actually have we'll have a single interface with all of those. So
I understand. I just Googled municipal website builders in Oregon, and there's quite a few that come up. I just wondered, have we talked to anybody in actually our state or our city? So I'm always gonna push that as I think about businesses that are local.
Appreciate the diligence. I'm going to go to Councilor Christopher and then Council President Starr.
So thanks for that, Adam. That was part of what I was going to ask. But the other thing I was going to ask is how many Oregon governments use Civic Plus? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I think our research team did that, but I want to say 13 and around 13, but we're talking about the larger governments too, not, there's 241
Because they have component pieces.
Cities, yeah.
Yeah.
But because they're so complex, yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying, Councilor Cross, and I would be right with you, except for the integration. And that integration with what we've already bought, we've already committed to codification. So we were with Civic Plus. We're already with Civic Plus for our agenda management system. We're already there. So to change could potentially cause that to be a clunky interface, and you know how bad that is.
Well, yeah, but I guess the follow-on question to that is, do we know, like, it's one thing to say Civic Plus only talks to Civic Plus or whatnot, like iPhone, but do we know that that's the truth on any other Oregon local website builders?
Yeah.
Do you know that this is the only person that we can connect to?
There undoubtedly, our code platform could be plugged into any website, and our agenda management system could be plugged into any website. That's because they all do. I think you'd get some synergy with them acting together, but I think that answers your question.
And really, that $2,000 a year to $10,000 a year in our tight budget, that just seems like a lot until we have the answers to the other questions.
So let's put a motion on the table and then we'll, because we're getting into deliberation. Council President Starr.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt resolution R2025, authorizing the city manager to enter into personal services agreement with Civic Plus for website software and services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2025, authorizing the city manager to enter into personal services agreement with Civic Plus for website software and services. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Motion passes 6-1 with the no being Councilor Cross. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the updated website and the interoperability with our cell phones. Thank you. Let's go to, let's skip over to item L. And then we'll see if we have time to circle back, at least get a preview on item K from Mr. Cleaver. Let's go to item L, which is a resolution amending all of these resolutions for boards, committees, and commissions. Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor, your city attorney has this one.
Thank you. Mr. Lindsay?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a bringing back of the underlying, or all of the resolutions in Appendix A's of the committees that needed to be changed to be in alignment with each other in terms of the not voting liaison, and as well as having the rules of procedure being superseding. So those, otherwise, there was a few of the council boards, commissions, and committees that didn't need changing because of their either statutory status or their makeup. So the Budget Committee and the Long Range Planning Task Force, those are set not only by statute, but then also you guys are the members. And then the Volunteer Coordinating Committee was already changed because when that came in front of you guys earlier, we had kind of anticipated the rules of procedure being changed, and the same with the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission came in front of you guys at the same time that we were changing the rules, and so that already got changed. So that's why these ones are here before you, which is the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee, the Parks and Recreational Advisory Board, the Emergency Planning Committee, the Audit Committee, and the CDC is to be next meeting, so. This is just the cleanup to make sure that they're all removing the voting liaisons and to have your rules supersede.
Okay. Any questions? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lindsay, did I hear you or not hear you? Could be that the DayQuil wore off. The Volunteer Coordinating Committee, it's in the motion, but I didn't hear it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I was wrong.
I just wanted to clarify that.
I misspoke. You're right. It is in the motion to be one of them. So it was the Planning Commission that we had anticipated and the, okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification. I'm sorry for that mistake.
I'm sorry, what?
I proposed a motion that put all of these together so that you didn't have to read them all.
Bless.
So, so hopefully that's more efficient for you.
Anything further? Council President Starr.
I move the Kaiser City Council adopt all resolutions presented in the packet that amend the Volunteer Coordinating Committee, the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee, the Kaiser Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the Kaiser Emergency Planning Committee, and the Audit Committee, and repealing all prior related resolutions mentioned therein.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Let me get that language. That the Kaiser City Council adopt all resolutions presented in the packet that amend the Volunteer Coordinating Committee, the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee, the Kaiser Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the Kaiser Emergency Planning Committee, and the Audit Committee, and repealing all prior related resolutions mentioned therein. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. No. Motion passes 6-1. With clerk being the one no. All right, that concludes that. Council President Starr, would you please read the consent calendar?
Yes, ma'am. Give me a minute. Yeah. I move, the consent calendar reads as follows. Resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement for use of property for placement of a drive-up ballot box at City Hall.
Thank you. Any reason to pull this for a discussion? Council President Starr?
I move to adopt the consent calendar as read.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. I would like to offer some courtesy to Mr. Cleaver so he can at least give us a little bit on the resolution K to see if we can proceed with this tonight or not and get any questions from City Council if there is a reason to not proceed. Mr. Cleaver.
Mayor, City Council, as discussed at the last City Council meeting, this is the resolution to approve personnel policy manual revisions that need council review and approval. There is a lot there. I won't go over specifics. Of course, happy to address any specific questions or discussion. I'll just add the reason for the length of content, if you will. There are several reasons, including legislative changes throughout the years. This language hasn't been touched in quite a few years. Another thing we can blame COVID on, and just general cleanup language, clarification, really codifying current practices. So there are a number of reasons driving that amount of content that you have before you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have heartburn about moving forward with this tonight? I don't. We've had it for over a month. Had an opportunity to ask Mr. Cleaver if he had questions. So unless there's objection, I'd like to go ahead and put the motion on the table so staff can move forward. Councilor Christopher.
I read it. I read all of it. There's a few Scribner's errors in there, tenses of employees. There's a few of that. So I'm fine with doing that tonight, Mayor, whatever you want to do. But would you go through it one more time? Because and I marked them, but I don't have it I printed it and I don't have it with me tonight. Or I can call you and tell you that
it really is Scrivener's errors, it's little things like that.
Absolutely.
All right. Counselor Cross?
Thank you. I do have a question, that it says, like, on the safety part, it says employees are asked to keep in mind that accidents don't just happen by themselves. They are caused. I don't particularly agree with that. I don't think all accidents are caused. Sometimes accidents just happen, but I just want to put it out there. I've been around plenty of accidents that I don't believe people, hurt themselves on purpose.
Okay. Council President Starr, would you go ahead and put the motion on the table and then we can proceed? Well, it's kind of the truth. People don't read their head. Okay, Council President Starr.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2025, adopting City of Kaiser personnel policies and repealing Resolutions R 2010-2040, R 2015-2599, R 2022-3276, and R 2022-3297.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2025, adopting City of Kaiser personnel policies, repealing Resolutions R 2010-2040, R 2015-2599, R 2022-3276, and R 2022-3297. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously. Go. It is getting close to the hour. We will, item 8I will be deferred to, March 17th. And, I would ask council that if we can go ahead and add into that, we may need to discuss how to rework the language in section 14. So the directions on proclamations, it conforms with the Oregon Government Ethics Commission requirements for a public meeting. Because right now it doesn't entirely. We send it to the city recorder and how that we actually have to put it on the agenda. We can't just get a consensus from the council on those requests.
What part for government ethics?
Public meeting law.
How so?
The idea of you guys making a decision, it has to be made in the daylight. So it has to come to each council meeting in order to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was not, when we first discussed it, I don't think maybe that you all realized it, I didn't. So just make it really clear, it's gonna have to go through that process. That takes us then to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Brown, does staff have anything additional tonight?
We do not have any additional
Thank you.
business.
Council? Okay, going on to staff updates.
Are we coming back to us? Yeah, she's doing staff updates, right?
Staff, did you want other business or did you want staff updates?
Staff updates. Okay.
We just went through other business. Does council have other business?
Did you have something?
For other business?
I'm not sure. I don't know where. I wanted to, talk about, yeah.
You have other business?
Yeah.
Counselor Christopher?
Public Works Director. Have you made a decision on the Bob Newton play toy yet? I was thinking you said for public input, they had until the end of February. Was it the end of March?
No, it was not the end of March. Have we made a decision on the type of play structure for Bob Newton? Is that what your question is?
It is?
Counselor? Staff's made the decision, yes.
Okay.
We haven't forwarded that with Parks Board, and I haven't checked with Robert to see what he's heard from the neighborhood association.
You did, okay.
I have not checked with Robert to see if he's heard from the neighborhood association
Okay.
any more than I heard the meeting I attended.
So it was at the last Gubser Neighborhood Association that, Bill did an outstanding job, and he brought the samples, and I'll pass these around. I probably should, we should probably, give them copies.
So is this a decision for council?
No, it's if you wanted to give some feedback or input for these big toys. But it may be too late because the last couple meetings, we haven't been able, it was relevant 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it may be too late.
It's not necessarily too late. We're still refining the numbers with the vendor. I
So-
can send those to the council.
Why
I'd
don't
be happy
you?
to. Sure.
If
be
you had
happy
any
to.
feedback on it. I just wanted to say that Bill did an outstanding job. He got it narrowed down. He's talked about each option that he had at the neighborhood association meeting. So I think it'd be good for you guys to see it. So you know what's gonna go into Bob Newton Park.
Okay, so that could be shared with us and,
Great.
Great to
Okay,
know.
That's it, sorry.
okay. Staff updates. Mr. Brown?
I just knew I had a cult following that wanted to hear from me, and so thank you for the opportunity, but no, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything else, so we'll pass it to the people that have more interest.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cleaver?
Item 8K was my update, so thank you.
All right. Mr. Wood?
North side of town, one more week to go and the sewer reset period is over. So conserve water, one more week and then you're good to go. And by the way, it's looking really good at the Wood household right now. So this is gonna be the best sewer reset period we've ever had. So amazing.
That's awesome, and I've been sharing that on social media, but now it's the north side. Do we have a date for the audit committee yet?
We do not yet. That'll be forthcoming probably the end of this week.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Bissett?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. About 2 months ago, maybe, I think Councilor Kohler asked if the signs could be replaced at Safeway. I think that was you. I submitted a form online to corporate, and I also made the request to the manager directly in person to just giving you an update that did happen. We'll see if they listen. If they're still the same way in about a month or two, we'll revisit the conversation. Mr. de Blasio mentioned a couple things about traffic surveys and speeding in certain areas. Just a reminder, we have one motor officer working the streets right now. We plan to fix that in the future. We just need to get the staffing back up. Thank you for the money that it's there. We're trying to hire people to get that taken care of. Wanted to tell you one really kind of a short LPR story since you guys gave us the cameras. They're all installed. They're all working marvelously. We have stories, probably weekly stories that I could probably bring you, but one was a really cool, unfortunately someone broke into a car. There was a picture of the car. They figured out what the car was, no license plate, no suspect. A year ago, we're dead in the water. Now we just input the exact description of that car into our license plate readers. We get a picture of the driver, we get a picture of the license plate, and we know where it's going. So we can track that thing all the way through the city. We can track it into Salem, soon to be Marion County. And so we ended up making an arrest on that one because we got the license plate, was able to verify through DMV that the driver was the registered owner of the vehicle. So we're solving crimes. That's just one of several that I'm getting from my guys, but it's different law enforcement these days. One other one I'll share with you that was told at Rotary. It was probably a month ago now, maybe a month and a half ago. We went to a house. We knew there was a wanted person there. And we had a canine working. We had a drone operator working. And we got the drone up in the air before he even showed up on scene. So we're like 2 blocks away. Drone up in the air, over the house. Then we show up with the dog and the canine in the front, make an announcement. The guy jumps out the back window. We have FLIR. It was the middle of the night. We have FLIR, which is a thermal. And we just let the guy jump yards as we followed him with the drone. Eventually got to a place where he was tired and we were not. And then we just drove up on him and arrested him, took him to jail. So I'll tell you this, when I started back in 2002, this was not even possible, right? Barely even had a flashlight that was that bright. But now it's different policing, and we're doing smarter policing, and just thank you for keeping us funded and getting all these cool toys for us. So it's pretty fun time to be a cop.
Tools, they're tools.
Tools, they are tools, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Toys. Thank you very much. But speaking of toys and our wonderful playgrounds and other facilities and so forth, Mr. Lawyer.
My tools aren't near as cool as his, so I can't top that. I really don't have anything for you tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Well, I do have a question. The manhole, project on River Road, that looks like that's proceeding really, really well. I'm noticing that some of them have the covers off now and they're nice and smooth going over. So, any, idea when that's going to be completed?
You know, I just saw the date of that today, when the contract calls for them to be done, and I think it's the 23rd of the month. They did 11 last week, and there's 25, I think, 26 to do total, so I'm pretty confident they'll get done. I haven't driven all of them yet that they finished, but the ones I have hit, pretty happy with. But I was pretty happy with all of them to begin with, after we paved the road. So time will tell.
Yeah. We'll see if we're still happy a year, 5 years from now. But thank you for that. Appreciate it. Mr. Witham.
Just one thing, I'll keep it short, because, yeah. The TSP update, which is one of our long-standing goals. I've kind of told you guys that, hey, we're moving forward. The RFP is out, that's great. I actually have a meeting this week along with Mr. Lawyer and our review committee. We can't talk about it because it's an RFP, but there is a meeting that's going to be happening. We're moving forward, so that's good news. Hopefully that project will get underway sooner than later.
Soonish-er. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Lindsay.
Just really quickly, labor negotiations continue with the KPA Sergeants Bargaining Unit, so please remember to stay neutral. And then Northwest Natural Franchise should be next time, so that'll kind of take care of most of our continuing franchises that we keep bringing you. And then we're trying to do the low-lying fruit for our ordinance cleanup, so I think you're gonna be asked to repeal the cruising law next time, potentially. And we're gonna try to clean up our liquor license the way we do it, so. Yeah, I know, they used to, we have cruising law still, and we need to have signage for that, and we don't, so we probably need to just repeal it. So you'll be seeing that coming in a cleanup near you.
How much is signage? Just asking.
I don't know, but I will have a full report
All right.
next time when we put it in front of you.
All right, there we go. So inquiring minds want to know. I'm going to go to Councilor Kohler, then Councilor Cross. He already had his hand up.
I think he's saying something now. Go ahead.
So you passed by me when I was going to ask Mr. Lawyer. I noticed that last meeting, we asked about the manhole covers, and you said only River Road, but I noticed that Lock Haven have many of them repaired also. So did that change?
Excuse me, I'm only aware of one on Lock Haven to be repaired. That's right at Verda. Just one.
Okay. Thank you. And I was hoping that we made sure our youth counselor got to talk tonight.
Yes.
Yes, there you are. Yes. I'm sorry, I did see you come in, but you kind of disappear. So thank you, Mr. Lindsay and all. So Youth Counselor, Lottie Farr. Good to see you.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for being late. I had practice. But the things that are happening right now is, one, we have conferences coming up next week. So we only have 2 days of school, which is, can't lie, it's going to be pretty nice. Especially because spring sport tryouts are happening this week. So it'll give all the newly signed athletes a chance to rest before having to do school and sports, which probably will be tiring. We have our lip sync battle that was pushed back because of the weather last month, finally happening this Friday. It's just where all of the classes will gather and practice singing like certain songs or one song specifically, and we all just perform. It's just a way for us to earn class points. So everyone's excited for that. And then we also have our senior versus staff basketball game this Thursday at 7 p.m. Tickets are $5 to get in. It's going to be really fun. Don't know what's going to happen, honestly. I'm really excited to see what's really going to happen, if the seniors or staff is going to take. But yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that are happening right now.
All right, well, thank you all, thank you very much, and also really enjoyed you in The Little Mermaid, by the way, with all the other activities that you're doing. Thank you for keeping us up to date on McNary High School. Appreciate that. Anything else for the good of the order? We have for just agenda input, reminding people that next Monday, March 10th at 6 p.m., we will convene as the Long Range Planning Task Force. On March 17th, 6 p.m., regular session. March 24th, we will have a work session, and that is the one with the community fields. So, yeah, that's why that's on there. So we do have a second one, and we agreed to do that. Councilor Kohler.
Also, it should be March 15th, the Civic Center cleanup.
Yes. Remember that one? Come out with your gloves and your boots and get ready to work. March 15th, starting at 9 a.m., if I remember correctly, and we will have cookies. All right, that is all we have for tonight. The time is 9 o'clock. We are adjourned.